Chapter 48, Through the Looking Glass. Your Majesty, the Queen returned from her thoughts and looked upon the Prime Minister, who was nervously avoiding her gaze. She took tired and breathed hard before saying, "Are you certain this is the only way? Can't we simply try and reason with them?" The Prime Minister went to speak when one of his generals cut in. "Dear Majesty, nobody ever wants to drop a bomb, but these Magi, they are fighting a war in the heart of our city. Reports are spreading that a swarm of these abominable creatures have entered the city and are attacking citizens. We must take action." "By dropping a bomb in the center of London," the Queen exclaimed. "What you speak is madness." The general smiled with pride. "Done properly, we need only implode the building over which the fighting persists. We don't even need to send in our brave soldiers until the enemy has been taken care of. We do this right, and we will have won this war just in time for tea. But will it really just be these Magi? From what I've been told, they live across the globe. We already destroyed 2 castles. We have to stop this now before we start a third world war." The Queen shouted with anger before calming herself. "My apologizes, that was undignified. It perfectly all right, Your Grace, but I'm afraid this war has already started. It isn't just the Magi we are fighting after all. Some of their kind are joining forces with creatures believed to only exist in fairy tales, and others have even formed alliances with non-Magi governments, like the Australians and the Italians. We have to act now, or we will become their slaves." The Queen sighed before she turned to the man watching the exchange nervously. "What do you think, Mr. Prime Minister?" The Prime Minister muttered weakly. "I've seen what they are capable of. They did not hide their existence for centuries simply to keep the peace. They were just biding their time before they could strike. They are plotting our downfall, I'm sure of it." The Queen resisted the urge to roll her eyes at the general's words coming from the Prime Minister's mouth. "I don't like this." The general spoke for himself. "It is a formality that we inform you of this at all, Your Grace. We will go ahead with our attack, and you will support the actions of the British government." The Queen glared. "I am not some puppet. I have a say in this. I am the commander-in-chief. I have power. Of course you do, Your Majesty, just not here." The general uttered with condensation before rising to leave, the Prime Minister following hot on his heels. The Queen was steaming as she watched the men leave. She waited for the sound of them closing the door before uttering to her servant, "Anastasia, if you would be so kind as to make me a tea, and make it an Irish tea." "I would love to, madam, but I'm not so good at carrying things." "What on earth do you mean?" The trailed off as she turned as pale as a ghost, which was exactly what now floated before her. "Oh, heavens! No, don't faint," Myrtle squeaked as she quickly floated to the Queen, who was regaining her senses. "I'm here with a message, Grace. You must give us a chance, Your Majesty. Not all witches and wizards are bad." "I know that." The Queen sighed. She was thankful the royal family was immune to the statutes of secrecy, along with the Prime Minister. If she had never seen a ghost before, she would have surely met her death. What did you witches call us, muggles? The muggles have been informed of your existence. All of Britain was ravaged by your war, and our very government was attacked. Like it or not, they had to say something. Now they want your kind eliminated, and I no longer have the power to stop them." Myrtle shook her head as she spoke the message she had been instructed to give. "You still have power, Your Majesty. Use the power you've got to help us. As we speak, witches and wizards are fighting for liberty and freedom. Our government is being run by the Totaliter, a totalitarian government bent on controlling the world. The statutes of secrecy was doomed to die, but now is the time for our people to reunite. We must work together to ensure a better future. Send what forces you can to help the rebellion. We need it. Britain might not be the world-conquering power it once was, but it's another story in the magical community. The entire magical world, and in turn, the Muggle world, has their eyes on us. If we can't learn to work together, we are all done for." "Who sent you?" the Queen asked with vested interest. The leader of the lunar Lovegood rebellion, Hermione Granger, and the conqueror of the Dark Lord, Harry Potter. The Queen leaned forward as she spoke. The lunar Lovegood rebellion, you say? Who is this? Lunar Lovegood. Myrtle looked solemnly as she uttered. A prisoner of the Totalitter, the leader of the cause, and your only hope to prevent all-out war. Luna opened her eyes as she heard the sound of an old door creaking open. The sound of footsteps followed as Luna closed her eyes again. She felt the woman's presence before her, but said nothing. Ahem. Hello, Dolores, Luna greeted with a serene smile. Where's Mr. Shacklebolt? Busy, Umbridge uttered with a frown. Luna was sitting cross-legged on the floor, her hands resting palms up on her knees. Her eyes were still closed. Dolores huffed. Get up now, we are going to find some use for you. I darn think so, Luna replied. Umbridge giggled. Oh, you silly thing. I know it's hard to believe, but even squibs have their uses. I'm sure the unspeakables will find yours. Even if they have to tear your soul apart, we will find out the secret to your magic. Luna shook her head. The secret of magic cannot be discovered through experiments in science. Magic is the very antithesis of science. Dolores rolled her eyes. Keep your mouth shut, or I will dub thee a lost cause and feed you to my guards here. Now get off the floor. Luna opened her eyes and saw the two Dementors hovering right up to her cage, seemingly lusting for her soul. The sound that came from them reminded Luna of a man dying of thirst. Luna looked Dolores dead in the eye. You have nothing to threaten me with. I have nothing to fear and nothing left to lose. You lost that power the moment you killed the man I loved. Oh dear, someone get me a violin, Dolores mocked sarcastically. One of the Dementors nodded and started to leave, but Umbridge stopped it. I understand how you must feel, but let me tell you a little secret. Dolores opened the cage and strutted right up to Luna. She grabbed the girl by the chin and made her look up at her face. You always have something to lose. Now get off the floor. Luna's eyes hardened. You're right, I do, but the things we lose have a way of coming back to us in the end, if not always in the way we expect. The only way to find Potter is to join him in death. Umbridge snorted dismissively. That may be, but when I do die, I will be reunited with everyone I've lost. Luna spoke loudly, making sure the other prisoners heard her as Luna rose to her feet. But until that day, I will continue to live, I will stand, and I will fight for my mother's work. I will finish it even if it kills me, but I wish not to die. No matter how harsh life is, no matter how difficult, not matter what you do to me, or the pain I suffer, I will always choose life over death, for death is infinite, and death is but a blink in the eye of time, and you only get this one chance. The other prisoners lifted their heads as they all looked over to Luna's cell. Hearing her words as she stood in the darkest depths of Hades with eyes that burned with passion. You live your life solely for the control of others, but your control is a lie. Your order is a lie. All that matters is chaos, and that we make not just the right choices, but the ones we can live with. Once we accept that nothing, enough riddles. Umbridge shouted as she turned around and strutted out of the cell. I have a long night ahead of me, and I will not put up with your insolence any further. Get off the floor. The first thing the unspeakables will do is make your mind more receptive to orders, even if we have to remove part of your brain. No, Luna whispered. Dolores exclaimed with authority. Dementors, Takedo, the dissection room. Luna rose to her feet and shouted. No! The Dementors reached for her, and Luna saw visions of her mother's death flash through her mind, yet it didn't have the effect it once had. Instead, it made Luna sad but proud. With a burst of energy, Luna dived under the Dementors as they floated above her, then rolled to her feet, standing before Dolores glaring with hatred. Dolores's eyes darkened as she uttered, It dare disobey me, freak, its own mother. I more than dare, Luna hissed back, seething with anger. Umbridge hollered, I created you, Muggle, and I can destroy you. You are lucky I didn't have you killed the moment you were born, you wretched squib. Luna shrieked with unbridled rage. You are not my mother, you bitch. Dolores stared at Luna stunned, while Luna took in 2 deep breaths before panting with an equally stunned look. That felt good, Umbridge whispered darkly. So it's true then, you are mad. Loony Lovegood the mad squib. I am not a squib. I am not a muggle. I am not a freak, a witch, or a loony. I am a person. I am Luna Lovegood, and my mother was Pandora Lovegood. Dolores Umbridge nodded. So be it, Miss Lovegood. I was a fool to think a squib could ever know the secrets to magic. You're as crazy as the mad hippie witch that you call mother. Pandora is my mother, and always has been, from the moment she first held me in her arms. Luna cried out as she raised her hands. You say you are my mother, and for a brief moment in time you were. But as there can be no justice on stolen land, you can have no control over a child you have abandoned. Luna spoke with conviction that even had the Dementors backed away. I am Luna Lovegood, daughter of Xenophilius and Pandora Lovegood, and as Merlin is my witness, I will finish my mother's work. Imaginatio potestatum. Umbridge covered her ears, as a horrible sound worse than nails on a chalkboard filled the room. A high-pitched shriek of metal being slowly bent before snapping in two. Luna looked around and smiled. It had worked. People, your cages have been broken, Luna shouted as the prisoners rose to their feet. This is your chance to take back what is yours by right, your life. Not all of us will make it out, but they cannot stop us all. The endless rows of cages let loose a triumphant roar as the prisoners stormed out of the cages and stampeded towards Luna and Umbridge. Umbridge pushed Luna to the floor. She waddled towards the door as fast as her legs could carry her. Dementors retain control and kill that creature. One of the Dementors flew over towards the charging prisoners, while the other grabbed Luna by the throat and lifted her off the floor. Luna tried to pry the Dementor's deathly hand from her throat as she heard the screams of the squibs and muggles. Luna's feet dangled from the floor, and as the Dementor brought its covered face to hers, Luna was forced to stop, resisting the Dementor's grasp on her throat, and grimaced as she placed her hands on the foul creature's hidden face. Luna gasped as her neck became constricted, the Dementor focusing its energy into crushing her throat. Luna felt the images of her nightmare fill her mind and the feel of the Dementor's grip tighten. Luna fought the urge to grab for her throat, knowing if she did, the Dementor's kiss would destroy her soul before she could gasp for air. Luna croaked as she kicked at the creature, sights of horrible images consuming her mind. Sights of her mother and father lying dead, Phileas collapsing to the floor for the final time, the ruins of Hogwarts, the sight of Harry vanishing in fire, Bellatrix cackling at her. Squib, squib, magical squib, little wee baby cries in her crib. Luna heard the tortured melody Bellatrix sang as she descended into the dungeons. Luna closed her eyes and focused on the magic she had in her. Maybe this time she could shut it out, the taunts, the knife, and the fear for her father and friends. Bellatrix stood over her and cackled as she kicked Luna away from her. Maybe this time I'll cut off your pretty hair. Make it stop. Luna did not notice the shadow that covered her or the witch that stood over her. She did not hear the curses and taunts, nor did she feel Bellatrix's blade cut through her skin. She shut out Bellatrix and the dark world with it. She did not notice the dark witch's frustration over her lack of reaction, nor did she feel Bellatrix kicking her in the face. Give up, let go, and you will see him again, a voice whispered. Luna wasn't sure if it was Bellatrix's, the Dementor's, or her own. In that moment, she was not in the creature's clutches, but in the dungeons of Malfoy Manor, where she was prepared to greet death. I'm sorry. She did not notice the blade press against her throat. She did not feel the knife begin to slit her. Bellatrix, the twisted witch turned to see a mouse-like man cower before her. I was just here to tell you that Greyback is here with some snatchers. They think they got Harry Potter. Luna opened her eyes at this. Harry, let go. No, Bellatrix kicked her in the face as she growled. What are you smiling at? Luna didn't answer. She just smiled. He was here, she would be saved, and even if he was a prisoner, they would all get out together. In that one moment before Bellatrix hit her with a Crucio curse, Luna felt hope, and something else she had never felt before. Give in now, child. No, no, I won't. Luna looked up from her magazine at the people who had entered her compartment. One in particular caught her eye. She had seen him before. He was famous after all, but he seemed different. It wasn't a good change. It reminded Luna of how she had changed since her mother's death. She tried to reach to him, but felt something in the way. Had a good summer, Luna? Ginny asked. Yes, said Luna dreamily, without taking her eyes off Harry. He clearly seemed uncomfortable, but she couldn't help but stare. Even for her, she found him to be exceptionally ordinary, like a bad liar too convincing to be believed. Yes, it was quite enjoyable, you know. You're Harry Potter, she added. I know I am, Harry replied awkwardly. Luna shrugged to herself. It must be Raxburt's. Die, you can't make me. I'm sorry about your godfather, Luna whispered as she gave Harry's hand a quick squeeze. Have you, he began. I mean, who has anyone you have known ever died? Yes, said Luna simply, my mother. She was a quite extraordinary witch, you know. Yes, it was rather horrible, Luna replied, wondering what made her tell this story to the young boy before her, like she wondered why she joined him to fight the Death Eaters. She seemed to often do weird things with this boy. I enjoyed the meetings. It was like having friends, Luna hummed. Luna, we are friends, Harry replied. Oh, that's nice, Luna replied with a faint smile. Keep fighting it so hard, though, Luna thought as the darkness overcame her. I miss Harry. Love you too, Luna, Harry whispered. Luna shivered at these words. No one has ever said anything like that to me, Luna whispered. Say it again. I love you, Luna, Harry repeated. Now he was starting to break down. Luna started to laugh in her delirium. Whatever veil she was referring to was simply not present now. She felt like she had lost her mind, if she hadn't already. Luna didn't care, though. She was truly happy. To hell with magic, to hell with Hogwarts, she had Harry. Fight for him, Mother was right. She once told me that no matter how lonely I felt, I would one day find someone to share my life with, to share my heart and soul. I found happiness in you. Let go and your struggles will be over. Luna smiled genuinely. Who am I, Harry? Harry grinned. You're the one I love, and you are Luna Lovegood. Yes, but who is Luna Lovegood? A riddle I hope I never solve, Harry uttered under his breath as he kissed her with passion. I'm sorry, Harry, Luna uttered in her mind's eye. Luna looked beside her and saw Harry casting a Patronus charm at the Dementor. Don't give up hope, that's right, Harry said encouragingly, as if they were back in the room of requirement and this was simply a spell practice for the That's right, Luna. Come on, think of something happy. Something happy, Luna uttered weakly, her voice cracked. She had the strangest sense of déjà vu, and as she looked around she saw everyone beside her casting their own Patronus charms, everyone from everyone from the LLR. Ron and Hermione, she saw all the Weasleys, even Fred, who winked at her. She saw her family, Phileas and her mother and father. Something happy, Luna whispered as she looked at Harry. I'm dreaming. I can't be this nor mouth is happy, Luna whispered, refusing to open her eyes. Harry kissed the top of her head. How do you feel, Luna? Luna sighed. I feel strong, I feel weak, I feel like butter, Harry chuckled. I know the feeling. I could stay in this spring all night. We did sleep in the spring all night. We are still in it now, Luna reminded him with a giggle before sighing with content. Last night was the happiest of my life. It was magical, Harry. We're all still here, Luna and Harry chanted together. We're still fighting, and we always will be, Pandora whispered. No matter what, Xenophilius shouted. Come on. Now, Phileas cried out. Luna saw a white burst of light, and for a moment she swore she had died. Then she hit the floor and it hurt. Luna looked up and saw the silver Patronus of a hare charging down the Dementor that had attacked her. She seemed to be on her own again, but she knew that was no longer the case. Luna rose to her feet and saw the other Dementor was attacking the Muggles and Squibs. Luna raised her hand, and the silver hare lunged, driving off the other Dementor away from the panicking prisoners. She looked at her hand with awe, but as she looked up, she saw the patroness begin to flicker and a weakness zapped through her body. "Are you okay?" one of the muggles asked. He was a skinny man with kind eyes. Luna nodded. "I was foolish to leave Harry. The ones we love are always with us. I tried to ignore and bury that love, but it only made me weaker. I did not gain magic by leaving him. I gained meaningless power, for magic was the very thing I lost by leaving. I may have lost most of that power, but my magic is back because the ones I love are with me in my heart. Though judging from that patroness, before the night is out I fear I will become a squib." Luna smiled at the elder muggle. "Thank you for listening even though you had no idea what I was talking about." The muggle smiled and nodded dumbly. Luna suspected Raxperts were involved. Luna cried out with a ragged voice to the prisoners, "Follow me. We have to." Luna's voice trailed off as the mob of people began to stampede towards her blindly to reach the prison's doors. Luna turned around and ran as fast as she could towards the doors while the mob was closing in on her. As Luna nearly reached the doors, they opened. The minister stood there with a mischievous smile on her face. Luna nearly stopped, but the people behind her forced her to sprint forward into what she was certain was Umbridge's trap. Luna had only one choice: spring the trap. Luna ran forwards as fast as her little feet could carry her towards the vile woman. She was close. She could see the darkness in her eyes. Bam! Luna felt her world spin as she collided with something hard. She felt like a fly that had flown straight into a windshield, only with much less messy results. She tried to move her head, but it seemed to stick to the surface she had hit. Suddenly, other people started colliding into the wall, some smashing into Luna. She opened her eyes and saw Umbridge standing in front of her smiling, just as she had been before. The wall she had run into must be invisible. Dolores waved her hand as the wall started to descend, and more of the panicking muggles and squibs ran into the wall above her. The wall continued to go down, taking Luna and the unfortunate souls with her, further into the depths of the Department of Mysteries. Luna could hear the sound of women and children whimpering as darkness set in. With a sudden jerk, the wall came to a stop. A loud boom echoed through the dark as the people screamed and cried in terror. Luna felt herself whimper as another sound filled the room. The mechanical sound of gears moving and the metal screech of an opening door. Luna tried moving her arms and legs in a panic, but to no avail. Someone let loose a horrible shriek before it was suddenly cut off, causing the rest of the people to start screaming. Luna felt something large step onto the wall, which shook under the sudden weight. Then the sound of slurping crawled into Luna's ears. Luna started struggling against the surface with her entire body, but she was no more successful than the other screaming victims. The wall continued to bend under the weight of the creatures stepping upon it, which only confirmed their size to Luna. Luna opened her eyes as an idea struck her. "Everybody push against the wall at 3. Everyone, 1, 2, 3, push." Luna threw her weight into the wall, but few others did. "No, everyone, we can't just struggle. We have to fight it together." Again, 1, 2, 3, push. Luna threw her weight into the wall, and this time felt others do the same. The wall bent slightly before bouncing back up. "That's it, it's work." Luna was cut off by the sound of someone screaming before going silent. Luna gulped before shouting, "Push!" More people threw their weight into the wall. Luna smiled and called out again, but as she did she felt the wall bend right by her and heard a sound she could not describe coming from over her head. Something hairy brushed against her cheek, and Luna shrieked. "Push!" They pushed in again, and the wall bent further than ever before. When it bounced back up, the whiplash ripped Luna's arm and head from the wall. Luna quickly reached out and grabbed the hairy limb by her face. She heard a horrible screeching sound as the creature jerked its leg away. Luna held tight and felt herself be peeled from the wall. The wind rushed past her face as the creature pulled its arm back and prepared to slam her into the wall. Luna grabbed the limb with her other hand and braced herself. "Push!" As the creature slammed her down, Luna threw her legs forward and kicked against the wall as hard as she could. The bending wall snapped with a crack, and Luna was thrown to the floor. Luna rose to her knees and saw the shattered substance of the wall was in pieces while the freed muggles and squibs were peeling others from it. Luna got to her feet when she saw one of the squibs who weren't so lucky. If Luna had to describe him in one word, she would use runny, as he was a puddle of liquid. Luna shook herself and ran to help the others, spotting Harry's aunt among the squibs. She looked at Luna and ran to her in a panic. "Have you seen my son? Have you seen my daddy?" "I don't think so," Luna muttered, neglecting not to mention the puddle she had just seen earlier. "I'm here, Mom," a voice called from across the room, causing Petunia to run towards her sickly son and crush him in her arms. Petunia grimaced as she looked at the shattered wall. "That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do since childbirth." Luna glanced at the frail yet large Dudley and hummed, "I can see that." Petunia glared at her before turning her attention to her son. Luna smiled before turning to help others. She pulled one girl from the substance which she described as being plastic when something caught the corner of Luna's eye. She peered into the darkness, her eyes adjusting when she spotted what it was. SRCKIAAI. The acromantula let loose a high-pitched scream as it pounced forward and knocked Luna to the ground with a thud. Luna heard the others panic as she looked up into the monstrous spider's 8 black eyes and saw her own pale reflection. Her eye was swollen, and blood smeared her hair. Her forehead still bore the scar Harry bore in life. Luna could hardly recognize herself, but what she found most shocking of all was the fire in her eyes, a fire that refused to be put out. Luna rolled to the side just as the spider squirted a liquid just where her head had been. Luna glanced at the acid as it began to dissolve the floor. Luna crawled backwards as the acromantula squealed and again pounced on her. Luna kicked with all her might as the spider spit out more acid, landing over Luna's head. The spider grabbed Luna's kicking leg and started dragging her towards the side of the room. Luna looked up and realized with horror the walls and ceiling were covered in webs. Luna tried kicking, but the spider paid her futile efforts no mind. Luna reached out behind her, grabbing onto anything that would stop her from being pulled into the creature's den. Luna's hand wrapped around a jagged piece of plastic and sat up, slashing at the spider's limb. The creature squealed as Luna freed herself, pale blue blood pouring from its leg. The acromantula lunged forward again, but this time Luna was ready. With a shriek she did not know she could make, Luna thrust the jagged piece of plastic into the spider head. Blue blood poured everywhere as the spider started screeching and convulsing. Luna brought the sharp object down onto the spider's head 3 more times before it went silent and still. Luna grimaced as she pulled herself from underneath the spider. Sticky blue blood covered her head to toe. Luna wiped as much of it as she could off her and onto the floor. Luna noticed other giant spiders had been killed. It seemed the muggles had discovered the use of the sharp pieces of plastic that littered the floor before she had. The uses of being a muggle and a squib, Luna thought to herself. You rely not on your magic, but on the objects around you and how best to use them to survive. Luna looked at the creature she had killed and sighed sadly. I'm sorry, Mr. Spider. I know you were just trying to eat, but I did not want to be eaten today. I'm starting to think you are freakier than the freaks, Petunia uttered with a snort as she looked down upon the strange girl. Thank you, Luna replied with a smile. That wasn't her. Never mind, Petunia muttered to herself before turning her attentions to her son. Luna looked around before spotting something that caught her eye as she spoke. I wonder where that cave will take us. The others turned and saw nothing but walls of the room. Luna approached the wall and traced her finger around it before shoving against the wall. She was joined by a couple of larger gentlemen, and in a matter of moments, the wall gave away. After pushing the wall a foot inwards, they slid it to the side as if it was a door, which it probably was. I assume that's where the acromantula came from, but won't there be more in there? Dudley squeaked. Only one way to find out, Luna uttered with a shrug. Of course you are free to stay here if you like. Without a moment's thought, Luna walked into the cave, with the others reluctantly following her. This is disgusting, Petunia moaned as she stepped into a deep puddle of sewage. I can't believe you're. People use sewers. Can't you just use magic for this sort of thing? Luna shook her head. Most wizards follow the laws of magic. I, like my mother before me, believe that there are no such laws, however. One of the rules is you can't make something from nothing, and vice versa. Vanishing something usually turns it into air, and vanishing certain objects can prove to make breathing quite toxic, hence sewers. A girl Luna recognized from when she was first imprisoned asked, how can something come from nothing? It can with magic, but outside of magic, it's really a yes or no answer depending on what nothing is. If nothing is really nothing or simply a lack of matter. Of course, our understanding of nothing adds to the question, is nothing really nothing at all? Or is it in fact something that is considered by us to be nothing, but is in fact something after all? Luna replied with a smile. Where there is nothing, or no matter at all, there is believed to be energy. Though you could say that energy is something and nothing is full of energy. In this case, everything is something and nothing is anything, therefore nothing is a myth as there's no such thing as nothing, or something like that. My head hurts, Dudley moaned. Or the Muggles are wrong. They've been wrong quite a lot throughout history, but to err is to be human. Luna grimaced as she stepped into more sewage. Petunia looked at Luna like she was mad, but others listened, keeping their minds away from the miserable situation. Luna hummed. The universe is not as infinite as we used to believe. There is an edge, though once again the definition of the universe has changed. The universe is everything that ever had, does, or will exist. However, it is hypothesized that there are other universes. Let's call them miniverses, as under the old definition, they would be part of the universe as well. These miniverses are so far away and moving so fast, not even the light of the miniverses can reach us. The more you hypothesis and philosophies how large all of existence and supposed non-existence is, the more we begin to realize how small we really are. In fact, I believe that not everything I said is true, yet I believe with a passion that the universe is truly infinite. Luna then looked at Petunia contemplatively. Or you can pretend the universe is small, that the earth is the center of the universe, that the earth is flat, and the sun revolves around it, and in turn you can pretend that everything is simple and anything beyond your understanding is evil. People hate and kill each other because they are different, and they don't understand their ways. Well, if that's true, then they might as well hate the whole universe, and all of known and unknown existence. I know a 600-year-old philosopher, and he understands no more of the universe than you or I, Luna sighed, as she approached a small beam of light at the end of the sewer. Dolores believes she can have absolute order, but that is impossible. In a universe so large and random, order is very small, and only on a relative level. She fears chaos because the hardest thing for most of us to realize is how little we control anything. We can only truly control ourselves, and even that has limitations. Yet as much as they research here, she will never discover this, for people like her are blind. The worst sort of people are the ones who close off both their mind and their heart, as the mind and heart is what makes humans and humanoids so special. Petunia's eyes seemed distant as Luna reached what seemed like a dead end, if not for a small crack of light in the wall. A couple of large muggles pushed against the tablet and pulled it to the side. The largest man peeked inside before pulling his head back in and looking at the others. He went to say something before fainting. Luna hesitantly peeked her head through the partly open doorway and felt the blood leave her head. Oh dear. Spiders, thousands of them, sleeping all over the floor, and they were the size of cars. Luna looked past them and saw metal bars on the other side of the room. It was a cage, small enough for humans to get through, but not these monsters. And the problem was the room was the size of a football field. Luna looked back at the crowd and whispered, we need to do this very quietly. Luna slid the rest of the door open, flinching as it made a slight scratching sound before slowly lowering herself to the ground. Watch your step. Luna stepped over a spider leg as she maneuvered her way through the cluster. Luna felt her heart pounding inside her chest as she felt the hair of a spider tickle her as she brushed its back, going as close as she dared to the beast in order to avoid touching the adjacent spider's face. She peered back at the others as they slowly followed her footsteps. When Petunia stepped into the room and saw the horde of acromantula, she all but screamed, only just being prevented by Dudley, who placed a hand over her mouth, muffling her terror. Dudley looked like the only thing preventing him from wetting himself was his own dehydration. Luna shivered as she felt one of the sleeping giant's breath on her shoulder. Taking one last deep breath, Luna silently sprinted the last 10 feet to reach the metal bars, sucking in her breath. She squeezed her way through the metal bars and into a brighter room full of potion vials and research notes, likely on the study of the acromantula. Luna looked back as the other prisoners slowly started slipping between the bars. Some had to struggle more than others, but luckily some good had come out of their starvation as they were able to slip through. Luna looked back into the spider's cage and cursed under her breath. Fiddlesticks! Petunia was standing in the middle of cage, frozen as if she had been petrified. Dudley was trying to get his mother to move, but she seemed to have gone into a state of shock. Luna started to slip back into the cage when a man grabbed her arm. He whispered, "You can't help them. The longer we stay here, the more likely others will come." "I'm not leaving anyone behind," Luna replied with conviction. "If you go in there, I'm not waiting. It's every man or woman for himself," the man uttered as he glanced back at the creatures. Luna shook her head. "I will not stop you if you leave, but do you know how to get out of here?" "Do you?" a middle-aged woman asked. "That woman, I heard you both talking when they first brought you with us. The man you say you loved suffered under her ward. Why should any of us risk our lives to help her, least of all you?" Luna looked back at the Dursleys before sighing. "If Harry was here, it is what he would do." Luna slipped back into the cage and quickly started to slip her way through the beasts. In 5 minutes, she had reached the Dursleys. Dudley looked beseechingly at Luna for help as Petunia remained in her petrified state. Luna hummed calmly. "Why are you frightened? It cannot be the spiders, or you would have escaped with the rest of us." Petunia's eyes met Luna's. If Petunia could speak, Luna was certain she would have shrieked. "Of course it's the spiders, tar-bleeping, bleeping, blee," Luna whispered. "1 foot at a time, Petunia. You don't even have to look. Just close your eyes and I will make sure your feet land in the right place. That's it. Just 1 step at a time. That is all we can do sometimes. Don't worry, it's only fear, and fear cannot hurt us as long as don't let it." Luna smiled as Petunia started walking through the spider's nest. Dudley smiled and looked as if he was going to hug Luna. Smiling, he took a step towards her crunch. "Sh cray. The spider shrieked as it felt its leg get crushed by Dudley's foot. The spider's shriek woke the other spiders up. Luna screamed, "Run!" The 3 bolted towards the cage. Luna felt something crunch under her foot, and another shriek deafened them all. The spiders started rising and charging towards the 3 intruders. Petunia and Luna reached the bars first in full sprint and instantly squeezed through. Dudley followed shortly behind and squeezed himself through the bars and made it halfway through them. Dudley tried pulling himself through again, but found himself stuck between the bars. Even starved and sickly, Dudley wasn't exactly small. "Help! My baby!" Petunia screamed as she grabbed Dudley's arm and tried to pull him through. A few of the other prisoners tried to help, but he wouldn't budge. Luna saw the spiders were about to reach him, while others had risen to their feet. Luna ran back through the bars and put all her weight into shoving Dudley through them. One of the spider lunged at Luna, who pressed her back against Dudley's, and with all her strength, pressed her hands against the spider's head as it shoved against her. Luna saw the creature about spit venom, while the other spiders had converged around them. The spider pressed more weight into Luna, and in turn Dudley, who with a pop was thrown through the bars and onto her mother, as they both collapsed on the floor. Luna tumbled through the bars and landed on top of the Dursleys as the spider continued to press forwards. As its head squeezed through bars, a burst of red light filled the room. and the spider's head exploded into a slob of blue slime. Luna glanced at the others and slowly rose to her feet, while the Dursleys did the same. Petunia practically gasping for air as Dudley rolled off her squashed figure. Luna walked up to the lab's doorway and peered through it, looking down a long hallway. The group continued onward until they came upon stairway going up. To her left, the hallway continued, leading off to Merlin knows where. Luna sighed. I don't know the way, but I do know this. The moment they discover we are alive, they will come after us. They will try to stop and even kill you, but they do not want you. Dolores wants me, and as long as I am with you, I am a burden to your chance of survival. Luna looked to the prisoners. I'm afraid this is where we part. The prisoners nodded as they looked uncertainly up the stairs. Petunia looked at the weird girl and uttered, Thank you for everything, Luna. Luna looked at Petunia in surprise before nodding. Maybe there is hope for you yet, Petunia. The widow Dursley huffed with a scowl. I was actually thinking the same thing about you. Luna smiled. Then at least one of us is hopeless. Dudley walked up to Luna and to her shock, gave her a hug. Luna squeaked as she felt her back crack. Thank you, Luna, Dudley uttered. Please don't kill me. Luna whimpered, causing Dudley to let her go. Sorry, Dudley mumbled bashfully before the Dursleys started up the stairs. The prisoners followed, all of them nodding to Luna. Dear child. The old woman Luna recognized as Fiona uttered. Whatever happens, we shall make sure the world knows of your heroism. It honors me to have known you, child. I'm not a hero. I was trying to escape as well, Luna replied. You put others before yourself throughout our escape. You did so for no reason than the purity and goodness in your heart. The tales they tell of you are true. You truly are a saint. Luna looked down at her bare feet before muttering. I just wanted to help. That's all I ever want to do. I don't want to be a saint. Nor do I wish to be old, but we are what we are, dear. Remember one thing for me, child, Fiona whispered. Neither the saint or hero can change the world, but they can set the spark that enlightens it. Farewell, child. With that, the elder lady turned to the stairs, where two young men helped her up each step. Luna watched until all the muggles and squibs were out of sight, before walking down the hallway, praying they all made it out alive. Of course, there was another reason Luna had left them. They were trying to escape, while Luna had no intention of leaving. Luna reached the end of the hallway. There stood a large red door that Hagrid could fit through. Luna opened the door and walked into the darkness, her mind fixed on her destination, her last hope to find the answer to her mission, Pandora's box. Dolores returned to her office in short order, and with a wave of her wand, a map appeared on the wall. She grinned as she saw the yellow dot running down the hallways. She was stronger than she had thought, which only made the minister smile. But it turned into a frown as she saw the other yellow dots, slowly rising higher and higher towards the Department of Mysteries exit. She also saw a stray red dot, which could only be a witch or wizard, heading down towards the dungeons. Dolores waved her wand and conjured a patroness of a bulldog, which always made Umbridge frown. She would prefer it to be a kitten, though she did hear unspeakables whispering that it should be a toad. Dolores spoke to the silver bulldog. Tell Kingsley that there has been a breakout of squibs and muggles, as well as an intruder, likely a wizard. The unspeakables, who aren't fighting, are busy keeping the wizarding settlements in check and infiltrating the muggle government. Come back down and take care of this problem and bring some of Project MIM with you. Dolores watched as the silver bulldog vanished before turning back the map and staring at the yellow dot that marked Luna. The minister uttered with excitement, You better run, child. Mother's coming. Mother's home. Luna opened another door and peeked inside. It was another empty room. Luna ran inside before she let out a deep breath and sunk to her knees, hoping to regain her strength. Luna felt like a mouse trapped inside a maze. Only the cheese at the end of the maze was blocked off, surrounded by walls. Then break down the walls. Luna thought out loud to herself. I need to find Pandora's box. It is the only hope to save the muggles and squibs, as well as my own magic. I can't stop now. Luna rose to her feet and opened the next door, another Merlin-darned hallway. Luna walked down the hallway, eyes and ears alert. She could feel the magic through the walls and a deep rumbling underneath her feet. The hallways came to an end, and another door stood before her. This one was green and opened by itself as Luna reached it. Luna's eyes widened as she stepped into a dark room full of flashing lights. The lights seemed to switch color at every opportunity, currently changing from blue to yellow, then green and finally red. Luna had to blink as she slowly walked through the room, trying to examine what took place here. Luna felt a chill go up her spine as the room started to get thinner the further she walked. The room turned into a hallway. Luna noticed as she walked, the ceiling was closer to the floor with each step, when the hallway was no more than 8 by 4 feet. Luna had to steady her feet as she felt the hallway turn into a circular tunnel. The lights were flashing even more frequently through the darkness, and Luna had to struggle to keep her eyes open at all. Luna felt the tunnel getting smaller and smaller as her heart began to beat faster and faster. Suddenly, Luna realized the floor was beginning to tilt downwards, getting steeper and steeper with each step. Luna tried to turn around, but the tunnel was so small she could not turn. Luna had no choice but to continue to move forward. Luna whimpered as the tunnel floor continued to grow steeper, and before she knew it, Luna was sliding down the tunnel. Luna screamed as she picked up momentum and soon was in free fall, plummeting at overwhelming speeds. The light kept flashing in her face as her vision started to blur, and Luna was certain that she was going so fast she was passing out. In fact, for a second she probably did, but was awoken when she hit something soft. Luna took a moment to regain her faculties before slowly rising to her feet. She looked at the surface she had landed on and frowned. She was hovering 10 feet off the ground. With a yelp, she fell the last 10 feet and landed on her backside. Luna grumbled under her breath as she stumbled to her feet and looked around the room. The room was eerily familiar. It was dark and old like an old cellar, if not for the handcuffs on the floor and bars on the door. Luna looked around the room and slowly began to feel a sense of morbid dread fill her body. She recognized this place. She knew where she was. Luna turned around, but was stopped abruptly by the figure of a witch who seemed to tower over her. Going somewhere, Loony. Luna felt a hand smash into her face and sent her to the hard ground. Luna tried to crawl desperately away, but a hellish cold hand grabbed her hair and pulled on it violently, causing Luna to scream out in pain as she was thrown backwards and underneath the prowling witch above her. Luna could not believe her eyes. It had to be a dream. She was dead after all. Bellatrix Lestrange should not be standing over her. Surprise! Bellatrix shrieked with mirth. Happy Death Day! The mad witch pounced on Luna. Luna struggled to kick the mad woman off of her, but Bellatrix just laughed a horrible, heartless cackle. My, if it isn't the itty-bitty squibby. Long time no see, Loony. Luna whimpered as she felt Bellatrix's cold hand stroke her cheek. What's wrong? Don't you want to play with me? Last time, I had to keep you alive. You were important, a valuable hostage, but not anymore. Your mummy's dead, your daddy's dead, even your party's dead. Everyone who was ever foolish enough to care for you is dead. Nobody loves you anymore. You simply don't matter anymore. My poor little baby. Bellatrix cackled as she reached into her ragged robes and pulled out a long, sharp knife. Luna's eyes widened in horror as she stared at it. Luna could feel her skin burning from where they bore hidden scars. Oh, we are going to have so much fun. It will be just like a sleepover that never ends. Would you like to sleep, Loony? Sleep forever just like me. Bellatrix whispered as she gently stroked the knife across Luna's skin, just a whisper so it wouldn't break the skin. Yet. Luna shook her head. This can't be real, it just can't. Now what game are we going to play? I think I'm going to cut off your pretty head. That's a fun game. Let's see how long you can stay awake. This isn't happening. This isn't happening. Luna's eyes opened with a twinkle and smiled. I'm sorry, Belle, but I don't want to play today. You'll play what I tell you to play, Bellatrix roared as her thin temper snapped. No, I'm not playing along. I'm not scared of you anymore, Luna uttered as she closed her eyes. Goodbye. Open your eyes and play, Bellatrix hollered, but Luna kept her eyes closed. Open your eyes or I'll cut them out, Luna shook her head. Then do so. Dad once told me that the best way to deal with bullies was to ignore them. I think it might actually work this time. Luna closed her eyes and waited for the inevitable to happen, which was nothing at all. Bellatrix started shouting in a rage befitting of a toddler. Open your eyes. You hear me? I said open your Merlin-damned eyes. Luna sighed with the hint of a smile. You are being ridiculous. Bellatrix shrieked one last time before shrinking. Her shout turned more and more puny, and her words became less legible. In a matter of moments, Luna was holding a little baby in her arms, which was bawling its eyes out. Luna laughed at the Bogart baby and was tempted to play with it before remembering that the baby was no more real than Bellatrix had been. Luna gently placed the Bogart baby down, which vanished into the shadows as the Bogart made its retreat. As the Bogart vanished, the room which resembled the Malfoys' cellar transformed back into a dark room with flashing lights, and a door appeared before her. As Luna walked towards the door to the next room, she could feel that using the spell made her even weaker. It must have cost her at least an hour of time, and she doubted she could do another spell for another hour on top of that. Luna opened the door and entered the next room. It was soft under her feet, almost like lamb's wool, and Luna saw beautiful salamanders of a strange color she had never seen before. They slowly crossed the soft floor towards a door at the end of the room, but they did not seem to get any closer than before. Luna was reminded of something but shrugged and slowly walked across the room. A beautiful melody hung in the air as she heard angelic voices chanting, "You got to get in to get out." Luna went to pick up one of the crawlers, but for some reason her hands could not reach them. Something must be blocking them. Luna wished she could stay here forever, but she knew she had work to do. With a sad sigh, Luna walked towards the door. As she reached it, Luna looked back one last time at the strange creatures before opening the door. Suddenly she heard a hiss behind her, and Luna saw the creatures squealing and rushing closer towards the door, but they found no more success than before. Luna sighed sadly before shutting the door behind her, leaving the creatures in a prison they simply could not escape. Luna found herself going up a spiraling flight of stairs. Luna took a deep breath and continued onwards. Luna reached the top of the stairs and panted with exhaustion before opening the next door. This room was different. It was pitch black, and Luna could feel the evil that lurked inside. Luna gulped as she walked into the darkness. She had to squeeze her way through the door, and when she made it through, she hit her head on the wall. Luna quickly realized the room was small, so small in fact that Luna could not even lift her arms, as they were too tightly wedged against the brick wall. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her, and Luna realized with horror that she was stuck. Luna struggled against the wall, but it was hopeless. It was a trap, and she had walked straight into it, hook, line, and sinker. Then a light filled the room, and Luna looked up to see a small light at the end of the tunnel above her. It must have been 20 feet above her. Luna's eyes hardened as she gathered her resolve. She knew what she had to do. Luna grimaced as she pushed her arms and legs against the wall with all her might before wiggling her body with everything she had. She smiled inwardly as she wiggled up an inch. She moved her body again, trying her best to imitate a worm, caterpillar, or aquavirius maggot, and crawled up another inch. Luna kept her arms and legs tight against the wall to keep from sliding back down. She was doing everything in her power to crawl out of this hole, and her muscles were burning. Luna felt like one of the creatures she was trying to copy, wondering if the grueling experience would lead to her own transformation, like a caterpillar into a butterfly, an aquavirius maggot to an aquavirius fly, or a worm into bird food. Luna imagined she was transforming from a squib into a witch. As she continued her arduous climb, Luna felt herself start to slide down the tunnel. Luna braced herself against the walls with everything she had and stopped her fall, but she had lost 5 feet and had scraped her arms against the wall. Luna shook with pain as she blinked back tears, feeling the blood pour from her arms as she continued to crawl upwards. Luna grunted from the effort and from the pain of scraping her bloody arms against the rocky walls. Luna realized she was wrong. She wasn't becoming a witch, she was becoming a woman. Luna didn't know how long it had taken, but with all the effort she could muster, Luna thrust her upper body out of the tunnel and onto the floor. Finally able to free her arms, she pulled the rest of herself out of the hole before collapsing to the floor, gasping for air. Her muscles burned from the effort, and the skin on her arms was covered with blood and blisters. When Luna caught her breath, she couldn't help but start laughing. Despite her weakened state, she had never felt stronger in her whole entire life than she did at this very moment. Luna felt a power flow through her that had nothing to do with magic. It was the power of pride, the pride of a woman. When Luna had recovered enough to continue onward, Luna rose to her feet and opened the next door. It was made of stone and would be empty if not for the mirror that sat on the other side of the room. It was no bigger than she was, if not smaller, yet Luna felt afraid to approach it. She knew she could not turn back, not now, not before she had finished what she had started. Luna cautiously approached the mirror before gasping at the stranger in it. Luna spun around the room with her hands outstretched, but no one was there. Luna regained her composure before looking at the woman in the mirror. She had brown hair and cold brown eyes. She was somewhat chubby, but not terribly so, and she had an ugly wart on her elbow. If Luna didn't know any better, she could have sworn it was Dolores in the mirror, yet something was off. The girl was shorter and skinnier than the rather hefty minister. She had a large, pointy nose, though nothing as bad as Luna's father's, and eyes as large as an owl's. Yet unlike Luna's, the eyes they were filled with not awe and wonder, but a coldness befitting of Umbridge. Her lips were small compared to Umbridge's large painted ones, and her skin was as pale as her father's, though not dry and wrinkly like Umbridge's. Her nose was also slightly bent, not unlike her father's. Luna slowly raised her hand, and the woman in the mirror did the same. When she lowered it, her alien reflection copied her motion. Luna felt tears run down her face as she looked upon the daughter of Xenophilius and Umbridge, herself. Luna remembered the memories she had seen, the changing of her hair and eye color, yet here she stood, a stranger to herself. "Who is Luna Lovegood?" Luna remembered saying to Harry, who smiled and simply said, "A riddle I hope to never solve." "Is this who I am?" Luna whispered as she looked into the mirror. "Does my reflection reveal the truth? It's not pretty, is it, the truth?" A familiar voice whispered, and Luna could see the reflection of Dolores Umbridge as she walked up behind her and placed a firm hand on her shoulder. "I think it was Dumbledore who once said the truth was a beautiful and terrible thing. You say I'm not your mother, and Merlin knows I wish it were true, but the mirror does not lie." Dolores rested a hand on Luna's cheek as she whispered softly with a hint of sadness and desperate longing. "You could have been a wonder, child. A daughter I had always wanted. Just look at your reflection, see how beautiful you could have been." "You tell me you know pain, you know nothing of it." Luna grimaced as Dolores lowered her hand and grasped her chin harshly while her nails dug into Luna's shoulder. The minister hissed, "We both lost our mothers when we were far too young, and later in life we lost our fathers. Though my father's death was no loss to me, at least you had a father you could mourn. I lost my brother. I lost my own flesh and blood because he was a cursed squib. Then it happened again when I lost my daughter, my only daughter. No mother should ever have to lose a child, even a newborn. I carried you inside me for 9 long agonizing months, only to find out the angel I thought I'd give birth to was not even human." Dolores cried out before she threw Luna to the floor. Luna looked up at Umbridge, who seemed beside herself with rage. "Why couldn't you have been normal? Why couldn't you have been like everyone else? Why did you have to be a freak? Why do I have to be normal? Why does it matter? You ask me why I'm not normal, the answer is simple. Why not?" Luna replied harshly. "One day, Dolores, you will realize that you can't control the world, and even if you could, you shouldn't. I can do whatever I want, child. I am in charge. I will have control, and I will have order. Dolores aimed her wand at Luna, who backed away towards the mirror. I'm going to fix you up, make you nice and obedient, just like my father. He was nice and obedient in the end. You will learn what it means to be the daughter of Dolores Umbridge. You will allow me to give power to those under my control, and you will unite the wizards and witches of the world to wipe out all races deemed unworthy by the Ministry of Magic. With the might of magic, I shall have order and peace for all time, and you may just even earn a place by my side, not as a squib, but as a witch, Dolores shouted triumphantly. Luna looked at her with a sad smile. I'm sorry, Dolores. All this time I thought you were a monster, but now I see the truth. Dolores smiled wickedly. Now you're seeing the bigger picture. You have a chance to become my heir, small as it is. However, with magic, anything is possible. No, I think I'll have to decline. You see, you're not a monster. You're just a sad, strange little woman, and I have nothing in my heart for you but pity, Luna whispered. Pity, Dolores laughed. I'm the minister of magic and head of the unspeakables, and soon I shall have order over every living thing on this very earth. This very earth, as wonderful as it is nothing more than a speck of dust. You wish to control the world. I say your dreams are vastly too small. Order is only a matter of perception, Miss Umbridge, and when you look at the big picture, the little order we have is trivial at best. Luna uttered with a sigh before shaking her head. You may have this trivial power. You may one day rule the world, but you have no magic in your heart. In a way, you are more of a squib than I. Maybe one day you will have your world order, but you will never be happy. You threw away your happiness when you let your hatred cost you what your heart truly desires, a family. Luna finished with a sad look in her eyes. Umbridge looked at Luna, fuming, as her face turned red then purple. You dare call me a squib? Luna couldn't help but laugh. You're hopeless, like talking to Nargles. Dolores aimed her wand at Luna. You will obey my orders as your superior, your minister, and your mother. I told you already, you are not my mother, Luna replied passionately. My mother is not the one that gave me life. My mother is the person who raised me and took care of me. She gave me strength, she gave me morals, and she taught me how to live. She loved me more than anyone could love another, and I cherished her for it. She poured her heart and soul for me. She shed blood, sweat, and tears for me. She cried when I was sad and laughed when I was happy. She loved me unconditionally, but made sure I could be the best me I could be. My mother did everything for me. She even died for me. My mother was my world, and you took her from me, just like you took Harry. Luna looked back at the mirror and saw no one but herself in it, just as she was now. She may not know who she was, but she did know one thing. Luna Lovegood is the daughter of Pandora Lovegood. Luna cried as she whispered. My mother loved me, and I'm sorry I forgot that, but I swear I will never forget again. We'll see. Dolores raised her wand and uttered Crucio. Luna heard Dolores whisper the evil word and attempted to dodge the curse, but ran straight into the mirror. But instead of shattering, she felt herself fall through the silver substance before landing on the floor of the same room, only it seemed backwards somehow. Luna looked back in the mirror and saw Umbridge glaring at her before her face popped through the mirror. Luna backed away as Umbridge's arm came through next before it fired a spell. Luna turned around and bolted down the hallway. As Luna ran, she heard the shouts from behind her. Come back here, you squib. I order you. Luna ran as fast as her legs could carry her, vaguely hearing the curses flying past her as Umbridge followed. Luna felt a rope wrap itself around her legs, and Luna let out a startled yelp as she fell to the floor. Luna reached for her legs and struggled to untie the rope as Dolores approached her. If you want to be treated like an animal, then so be it. I'll drag you to the dissection room, my damn self, if I have to. Dolores grabbed the other end of the rope and started pulling, dragging Luna by her legs. Luna pushed herself up into the sitting position and gave the rope a hard tug, pulling the minister on top of her. The two women clashed as they rolled down the hallway down a flight of stairs. Dolores clawed at Luna with her fingernails while Luna tried to bite them off. As they landed at the bottom of the stairs, Dolores gained the upper hand and pinned Luna underneath her before aiming her wand at Luna's throat. "You filthy creature, do you know who I am? I am Dell, a toad. Ha!" Dolores looked over her shoulder and saw the three Nargles floating above her with sinister looks. Dolores frowned. "What in Merlin's name, and you Alpharochi, Ode Alpha huffed? We're Nargles. Do we really need to keep telling people what we are? Most people don't know we exist." He replied. Dolores frowned. "You can't be. You're not real. You don't exist. Shut the hell up." Ha 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 ha. Umbridge felt herself get lifted off Luna, who looked on with amusement. Umbridge shouted as the Nargles lifted her to the ceiling by Umbridge's cloak. "You put me down this instant. You are not real, you can't be. You are just a symptom of the squib's madness." And the Nargles threw Umbridge into the wall before transforming into 3 6-foot-tall demons with black eyes, blood-red skin, and the head of horses. They shouted in Dolores's face with a deep demonic voice that shook the room. "Does this look like a symptom of madness?" Dolores nodded numbly. The blood drained from her face, causing the Nargles to return to normal and laugh. Luna untied the knot and freed her legs. Luna rose to her feet, looking at the minister, who had her eyes calmly shut. The Nargles suddenly flickered, and Anarchy turned to Luna. "Get out of here now. We can't hold her off much longer." Luna frowned. "I don't understand. You have her. Go now." Luna didn't need to be told thrice. Confused or not, Luna ran down the hallway, trying to put as much distance between her and Dolores as she could. Luna had to blink as she entered the next room. Luna was surrounded by mirrors, from which she could see her own battered reflection. As she stepped forward, Luna saw a path to the side, also covered with mirrors. Instead of one big mirror, there were hundreds of small ones stuck together. Luna walked down further, trying to ignore the vast array of reflections before reaching across a crossroad. Luna now understood. It was a maze, a house of mirrors to be precise. Luna sighed wearily as she turned left. She stayed on this path for 5 minutes before reaching a dead end. As Luna turned around, she couldn't help but wonder who of the unspeakables had to go through this maze, and what happened to them. Luna kept glancing at her reflection, and the further she walked through the maze, the more she felt that she was being followed. Luna saw movement and swiftly turned around only to see her distorted reflection. The mirrors seemed to twist her reflection further and further beyond recognition. Luna felt a chill go up her spine as the mirrors distorted even her eyes, turning them into swirling gray voids. Luna turned again as she saw the flicker of a shadow fly across a mirror before vanishing once more. Luna panted as she felt her heart in her throat. She swore she saw. No, it couldn't be. Luna closed her eyes and regained control of her breath before pursuing forward, sighing with frustration as she reached another dead end. Luna wasn't sure how long it took her to reach the center of the maze, but when she did, she felt the hair stand on the back of her neck. The walls weren't the only mirrors now. The floor and ceiling also showed Luna's reflection, and at the center of the floor was a mirror unlike any she had ever seen in her life. It was ancient and ornate. It had clawed feet and a golden frame. Inscribed into the gold were the words Erist stra eru oit ube kafru oit on wosi. Luna frowned. There was something familiar about the strange writing, but those thoughts quickly fled her as she looked into the mirror. Luna gasped. Her hands covered her mouth, and her eyes widened as tears began to build in them. Luna quickly turned around and saw nothing but her own reflection in the other surrounding mirrors. Luna turned back to the strange mirror. It wasn't a trick of the light. The mirror reflected Luna, and behind her stood the man she loved, Harry Potter. Luna again whirled around and reached her hand out, grasping for something she knew could not be. She grasped only air. Luna saw the mirror's reflection inside every surrounding mirror and noticed something odd. Through the reflection of the mirrors, the writing was legible, though the spacing was strange. Isho no taio urfek ebu taio art's desire. Luna looked back at the mirror with awe and wonder, and looked at the word Erist. Luna remembered Harry telling her about this, the mirror of Erist. Luna looked back into the mirror at Harry and slowly reached out to touch him, but her hand only touched glass. Luna closed her eyes as she softly spoke the mirror's words aloud. I show not your face, but your heart's desire. Luna choked out a sob before the grief consumed her, and all she could do was cry. She did not see her parents. She did not see her dreams coming true. She did not see her mission, her quest fulfilled. All she saw was what her dreams had cost her. He had inspired her and even made her believe her dreams could come true. Now the only dream that mattered in her heart was the one dream could never be. Dreams of happiness and love. Dreams of laughter and joy. Dreams of marriage and children. Dreams of family. All this lay inside the mirror, but no matter how hard Luna pressed herself against the glass, they were only dreams and nothing more. Luna cried as she desperately whispered the words, praying they would make her dreams come true. Imaginatio potestatum. Luna waited for something to happen, anything to happen, but nothing did. She knew nothing would. Luna sadly opened her eyes and looked at the man in the mirror. Her heart almost warmed as she saw his tears, confirming he didn't hate her, yet this only seemed to pierce her heart like a dagger. He looked sad and tired, his clothes singed and burnt, and his arm dripping blood. He looked like a hero straight out of a fairy tale, but in truth he was so much more. He was her hero, not just for his courage and bravery, but his kindness that inspired and touched her heart. Luna whispered, her voice hoarse. Oh, Harry, I'm sorry for leaving you. I'm sorry I could not save you. I'm sorry for everything. Luna shuddered. I'm sorry, but I have to leave you once more. I have to finish my mission. It's all I have left. Don't worry, though. I'll be back, and I'll never leave you again. Luna tearfully watched as Harry reached out to rest his hand on her shoulder for support, causing Harry to smile weakly before she stiffened. Her heart seemed to stop beating, and the air remained trapped in her lungs. Everything seemed to freeze as Luna felt the hand touch her shoulder. Chapter 49. The Individuals. In the dark depths of the ministry, Harry ran down the corridors, trying to outrun the horrible blood-curdling screams. The cries grew louder as Harry stumbled into the center of a small circular room with 4 hallways converging on the same spot. Harry spun in circles with his sword raised, looking down each corridor for whatever creature was making those horrible sounds, sounds which were growing louder. He was certainly lost, and the skin on his arms and back still burned from the dragon fire. Then Harry saw them, the horrible mutant creatures that clearly were once human. As they charged Harry, he heard another shriek from behind him. Harry spun around and cut down a lunging mutant. Harry raised his sword, warding them off, but he quickly realized they were coming from all sides. With a blast from his wand, he sent a dozen mutants flying, but many others took their place. Harry raised the Elder Wand to the sword of Gryffindor, and with a wave of the wand, set the blade aflame. Harry waved the flaming sword, forcing the mutants backwards as best he could. The flames repelled the mutants as Harry journeyed down another corridor. Despite this, the mutants continued to snap at his feet, trying to take quick bites out of him. As they were bathed in the light of the fire, Harry could see the yellow in the mutants' eyes. Harry recognized what they were and felt his stomach twist in disgust and fear. Was this Luna's fate? If he failed, would they do this to her, turn her into one of these things? As Harry continued forward, warding off the humanoids, he saw a doorway at the end of the corridor. Harry sighed with relief, but one of the creatures grabbed at Harry's sword. Harry lashed out with his sword and injured the mutant, but to Harry's horror the slime on its skin put out the fire, and everything went black. Arrgh. Harry felt the mutants engulf him, biting and clawing at his arms and legs while trying to reach his throat. Harry fired curses from his wand repetitively, catching terrifying glimpses of the mutants from the flashes of light the curses brought. Harry kicked and swung his sword, desperately pushing forward, and collided into the wall. He knew he had to keep moving or he would surely be killed, and if he fell... Harry could feel teeth bite into his leg and brought his sword down. A sharp shriek signified the creature's death. Harry fired more curses as he charged forward, tackling as many mutants as he could before slamming into the door. Harry felt the creatures lunge on him as he fired cure after curse to fight them off. Harry waved his wand, and the door opened, causing Harry to fall inside. The mutants started pouring on top of him, but a blast of fire from his wand sent them fleeing. The cries were cut off as Harry forced them out of the room with the fire and slammed the door with a bang. Harry felt the door rattle as the mutants pounded against it, and with a sudden moment of clarity, he decided to leave as quickly as possible. Harry ran across the pitch-black room and towards the light creeping out from beneath a door. Harry opened the door and was startled to see thousands of mirrors before him. Harry could see reflections of himself throughout the room. Harry cautiously stepped into the room and readied his sword. Harry tensed as he heard the sound of harsh breathing and quickly whipped on his invisibility cloak, waiting nervously for the next ghastly obstacle to reveal itself. But nothing happened. No one came. Harry slowly continued forward, past the many mirrors and distorted reflections, following the sound Harry now could make out. Crying. Harry felt his heart beat faster, and the burnt skin on his back suddenly went cold, like a cold gust of wind had blown upon it. Harry recognized the soft crying, but he didn't want to believe it. No, he couldn't believe it. Not until he was certain it wasn't a dream. Harry pressed his back against the mirror and slid himself against it. Harry edged closer to the next corner as the path turned left and slowly peeked his invisible head from behind the corner. Harry felt the cloak fall from his body as he froze. His breath caught in his throat and his heart stopped beating altogether. It wasn't a dream. It was really her. Harry felt tears form in his eyes as he looked upon Luna, a sight he never thought he would ever see again. She was on her knees crying, pressing herself against an oddly familiar mirror. But that wasn't important. She looked as beautiful as ever, even if he couldn't yet see her face, but not all of Harry's tears were of happiness. Luna's arms and hair were stained red from dried blood. However, it was the sound of her soft sobs which hurt Harry worse than the dragon's fire. Harry was brought from his trance as he heard Luna say his name. "Oh, Harry." Harry shivered as he heard her voice, a voice he never believed he would ever be parted from until he was. Harry was about to say something, though for the life of him he didn't know what, when Luna continued while placing her hand against the mirror. "Oh, Harry, I'm sorry for leaving you. I'm sorry I could not save you. I'm sorry for everything." Harry gasped as Luna said this. Now that the mirror had his attention, understanding dawned on him. It was the mirror of Erist. Not surprised, it ended up in the mirror room of the Department of Mysteries. Then Harry remembered what Myrtle had told him and felt as if he had been gutted. He was what Luna saw in the mirror. She believed he was dead. Luna shuddered as she whispered tearfully, "I'm sorry, but I have to leave you once more. I have to finish my mission. It's all I have left. Don't worry, though. I'll be back, and I'll never leave you again." Harry had to use all his strength to restrain himself from crushing Luna into his arms. Instead, he slowly lifted his hand and gently placed it on her shoulder, as if she was a doe who could be frightened off with the slightest misstep. Harry felt Luna stiffen and suck in air as he touched her shoulder. Harry suddenly found himself at a loss, as the two remained perfectly still. Luna closed her eyes tightly as she whispered, "Go away." For a moment, Harry felt a sadness come over him that he never knew was possible. Then Luna continued, her voice weak and defeated. "You can't fool me. I know he's gone." Luna started sobbing as she tried to fold on into herself. Then she felt a second arm grab her by the shoulder and the pain vanish from her bleeding arm. She opened her eyes as she was slowly pulled to her feet and saw Harry in the reflection of the mirror. Harry held back a gasp as her eyes opened, and Harry felt his own well up with tears. Luna's eyes were lit with wonder as she slowly raised her hand and placed it on the glass, right over where Harry's face reflected from. Harry moved to turn her around, but she refused to take her eyes off the mirror, terrified to look away, terrified to shatter the illusion she saw in the mirror. Then she heard Harry's voice whisper softly, "When I discovered this mirror, Dumbledore told me that it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live." Luna closed her eyes and nodded with understanding. Harry wanted her to move on and let go of her dreams before they truly destroyed. Taking a long, deep breath, Luna found the strength to slowly turn in Harry's loose grip. Luna prepared for the grip to vanish as she opened her eyes. Luna looked upon Harry with wide, uncertain eyes. She could not believe it, but when she raised her hand, she didn't touch a mirror, but the face of Harry Potter. Luna could hardly speak as tears started to fall freely, this time from happiness. Her voice was weak and vulnerable, yet full of longing and hope as she whispered, "What if your dreams come true? You cherish it and never let it go." Harry choked out before pulling Luna into a tight embrace. Luna wrapped her arms around Harry and hugged him harder than she'd ever hugged another soul. Harry let himself cry slightly as he buried his face into Luna's hair while she cried into his chest. As Luna hugged Harry, she had felt something deep inside her soul click, and suddenly her heart didn't hurt anymore. Luna pulled back and kissed Harry passionately. Harry responded as the couple poured each other's souls into love's embrace. When Luna pulled away, she was laughing hysterically. Harry smiled like a drunk guppy. He missed this, he missed her. "Luna, I understand why you had to leave, but please, don't leave me again." Luna sobered up at this and smiled sadly as she kissed Harry on the cheek. "How can you forgive me for leaving? I can't even forgive myself. Because you did what you felt was right. You always do what is right. I lost you, Luna, but you once told me that the things we lose have a way of coming back us," Harry said tenderly. "I was lost, but now I'm found," Luna whispered softly. "I was wrong to leave you in the first place. All the power and all the magic in the world doesn't change the fact that I am nothing without you." "Nor am I," Harry said softly before he noticed something. Luna tensed a little as he brushed the hair from her forehead and looked upon the scar that was on it. It was just like the one that still marked him and gave him nothing but pain. Luna looked fearfully as Harry's anger built up inside him. She doubted he had ever been this angry, so she kissed him and whispered, "She made me use the blood quill. I believed the scar was going to mark my hand, but I was wrong." "I'll kill them," Harry growled softly with barely restrained rage. "I swear I'll kill them for doing this to you. Marking you with that damned cursed scar. They did not mark me with this scar, I did," Luna answered as Harry's mouth dropped in confusion. "What?" Luna smiled. "She wanted me to write freak. I didn't want to. If I had to mark myself, it would have to mean something to me. Something I cared for deeply." Luna reached up and traced the scar on Harry's forehead. "I know how lonely it is to bear that scar, Harry, but now you don't have to bear it alone." "You're not alone anymore, and neither am I." Harry felt himself tear up again as he kissed Luna's forehead before whispering, "Let's get out of here." "Get out?" Luna asked with a frown. "Yeah, I'm here to rescue you," Harry replied as if it was obvious, which it was. "I didn't just come here to say hi." "You didn't?" Luna asked before suddenly grinning. "That's really sweet of you, Harry, but I'm not trying to get out. I'm looking for Pandora's box. I already escaped the dungeon with the help of the Noggles." Harry gaped like a fish as he muttered to himself. "But I walked through dragon fire. I fought a dragon. It's nice to know you will always be there to catch me when I fall, even when I don't need it." Luna giggled and winked. "I do need your help, though, Harry, to find Pandora's box. I can't do this alone." Harry shook his head with chuckle. "Of course, Luna, I'm not going anywhere." Luna hugged Harry again, resting her cheek against his as she whispered in his ear, "I'll also need your help when this is over. I'll need you to make all my dreams to come true." Harry chuckled softly. "You still want to go to the moon?" Luna pulled back, placed her gentle hands on Harry's cheeks, piercing him with her silver eyes. "That's not important. My dream, my magic, my freedom, this war, none of it matters without you in my life. All my dreams died when you did, and they came true when you found me. You are my dreams, you are my future, you are my everything." Harry was about to show her how much that meant to him when a slow clap filled the room and his heart with dread. Luna's eyes darkened as Umbridge stepped out from the shadows. "Oh, don't stop on my account. This is all so sweet." Dolores sucked in her lips after uttering the very word sweet, as if it was the most sour thing she had ever said. I must say, I'm rather happy to see you alive and well. Your squib was so devastated to witness your demise. I must admit I'm rather intrigued to find out what power you possess, which allowed you to survive certain death once more. It would be a shame if such power remained with you in the wrong hands. Harry stood in front of Luna and raised his wand to the minister as he growled. I should kill you right now and end this war. You could, but you are no killer, Harry Potter. We both know that, Dolores uttered with a smile. People change, Harry replied darkly. I won't let you hurt Luna again. Harry, Luna started to speak, but Umbridge's shrill laugh cut her off. This is priceless. Harry Potter, the boy who lived, is not only in the love with the squib, he serves her like a slave. Umbridge cackled. People who care for each other help each other. It's something you will never understand. Luna replied solemnly. That is why there are people fighting together to bring you to justice. Harry snapped. Dolores didn't answer, instead drew her wand and started circling the couple, all the while singing in a soft, taunting whisper. Every man has a woman who owns him, and every man loves a girl who enslaves him. Luna gasped, causing Harry to follow her gaze. Kingsley seemed to emerge from the shadows, his eyes lifeless as he listened to Dolores' taunting tune. However, standing beneath his scythe were two people Harry had not seen in years. Dudley. Petunia. Every woman has a child who scorns her, and every mother must cry as she beats her. The two Dursleys were looking down, but looked up at the sound of their names. Dudley looked up at Harry and Luna with excitement and hope, not aware of Harry's shock at seeing them here of all places. Petunia seemed to glance at Harry for a second before looking away just as quickly. Every puppet dreams to be human, and everyone has the strings wrapped around them. Every string has a master who pulls them, and I pull them all. Luna turned to Umbridge. What did you do? The fat one couldn't keep up with the other runaway muggles and squibs. Dolores responded with glee. They are the lucky ones. The others are about to find out what they could have become if they had chosen to stay, right, Kingsley? Kingsley drawled as he felt Harry's eyes upon him. Yes, Minister. Luna saw Harry was pale and asked. What is she talking about? It's not important. Dolores chuckled before speaking. Now we have three choices. I kill these two muggles and you both come with us. Potter can kill them and you both still come with us, or nobody kills them and you all come with us. Either way, you are both coming with us. Harry looked at the only family he had left, the family who effectively made his life miserable for most of his demented childhood. Dudley looked up at him pleadingly, while his aunt just kept looked down, trying to avoid the mirrors that seemed to reveal all. Harry then looked to Luna, who grabbed his hand and said to Umbridge, Where exactly are we all going then? Dolores smiled darkly, her eyes as sinister death. Why, dear, I'm happy you asked. You see, I'm going to take you exactly where you want to go. Besides, if you wanted to see Pandora's box, all you had to do was ask. Fiona could hear the beastly howls growing louder. The cries of an unseen menace sent the squibs into a blind panic as they ran down the endless corridors of the Department of Mysteries. Fiona thanked God for her two sons, who carried her on their backs, as another elderly muggle collapsed from exhaustion. His final breath echoed throughout the darkness long after his scream had been silenced. The fastest of the muggles were the first to cry out in horror as they ran into a wall. It was a dead end. They turned to see the yellow eyes in the darkness as the horrid creatures approached. A young man began screaming as he ran forward in a blind panic. His screams of terror quickly turned to shrieks of pain before Fiona heard the snapping of bone, and the man screamed no more. Fiona felt her heart beat faster as the creatures approached and prayed they would spare the children and her sons. Then a miracle happened. Behind the mutants, a fire lit the hallway, sending the creatures into a panic of their own. Three wizards stood in the light of the flames. All had wands in the air which produced the fire. Fiona noticed they looked very similar, and all had hair as red as the flames they conjured. Then Ron, Ginny, and George Weasley lowered their wands and consumed the mutants in flames. causing them to either flee in pain or succumb to the flames. Ron ran forward and shouted with his wand aimed at the muggles. "Who are you, and where is Luna Lovegood?" Fiona's eyes brightened at the mention of Luna's name and saw the letters LLR on their uniforms. The elderly lady struggled to step forward, shooting a grateful look to her two sons before stepping forward. "We are muggles and squibs, imprisoned by the Totalitter. We escaped under the leadership of Luna Lovegood. Can you please help us get out of here?" Ron looked conflicted as he turned to his siblings. "I'll help them out of here, I need to get back to Hermione. I don't know what those things were, but knowing Umbridge." George paled as he moaned. "Oh, Merlin, we've got to go back." Ginny looked down the dark, foreboding hallway. "What about Harry and Luna?" Ron cursed as he stiffly turned away from the others, hiding the fear in his eyes as he spoke gruffly. "Harry would want us to help the LLR and these people. Harry and Luna can take care of themselves. I hope." Goblins and LLR ran through the Ministry of Magic, fighting Totalitter and mutants alike. The good news was the Totalitter were dropping like flies. Unfortunately, this was because the mutants were eating them. The mutants were continuing to pour from the hole in the wall and tore apart everything in their path. Both LLR and goblins struggled to overcome the overwhelming numbers, and soon the auditorium was packed with mutants. Hermione twirled her flaming spear in the air as she forced off more mutants. She glanced at Ragnar, who was hacking at the creatures like a lumberjack. Hermione looked around and realized both of their armies had shrunk drastically. She called out to the Goblin King. "Where are your soldiers?" Ragnar looked grimly at Hermione. "We stand our ground and hold these things off, while my goblins take control of the Ministry of Magic from the Totalitter. They can then regroup and infiltrate the Department of Mysteries and make the minister an offer she'd be wise not to refuse. I assume your rebels are with my soldiers." Hermione's brain took in and processed Ragnar's words quickly as she fought off another mutant before uttering, "This is a suicide mission." Ragnar nodded gravely. "For the good of my people, I shall die tonight. I must say, it was an honor fighting alongside you, Hermione, and it shall be an honor to die alongside a true goblin." Hermione bit down her emotions as she nodded to the goblin. They both solemnly shook each other's hands before letting out a battle cry and throwing themselves at the mutants. They slashed and cut as many as they could before Hermione felt a cold, wet hand grab her leg, sending her tumbling to the floor. Hermione felt the creature crawl on top of her. Hermione thought of Ron as she closed her eyes and felt the mutant's breath on her throat. Boom! Hermione felt the room shake as an explosion erupted and the mutants scrambled off her in a blind panic. Hermione struggled to her feet before immediately ducking back down. The sound of gunfire filled the room. Hermione peeked up from the floor and saw a SWAT team of Muggle soldiers. They were dropping down from the holes in the ceiling and were shooting down the mutants. Hermione saw one of the soldiers approaching a stunned Ragnar and aimed his gun at the goblin's head. Hermione raised her wand at the Solider. "Shoot him, and I'll turn you into a toad." Ragnar spun around. Seeing the Muggle, he raised his sword and growled. "You dare shoot the Goblin King with his back is turned." The Muggle looked at Hermione and nodded before approaching her. "Who are you?" Hermione stood proudly. Hermione Granger, proud Muggle-born witch and leader of the Luna Lovegood Rebellion, also known as the LLR. The Solider removed his helmet and grinned before saluting. "Sergeant Patterson, reporting for duty. We have received your message and are here to help." "Message?" Hermione asked, confused. "Yes, the Queen sent us, you see, SGT." Patterson replied in a posh British accent. "Her Majesty the Queen said she got a message from the ghost of a crying girl. The ghost said you wanted to prevent a war between our nations and are trying to overthrow the dictatorship that runs your Magi government. I must say, if we got that message a year ago, we would have been certain the Queen had officially lost her marbles." Hermione shook her head with a smile. "Harry, pardon, ma'am. Never mind, we'll deal with political matters later." If the Queen has really sent you to help us, you can start by heading through these hallways and round up surviving Totalitter. I'll gather the forces of the LLR and the goblins and— Excuse me, Ragnar uttered quietly, but we are not on the same side. We made a truce in order to destroy the abominations, and now they have been. Ragnar raised his sword and struck the floor, his voice booming. I now renounce our truce. May the blood of my enemies paint the floor red. Hermione could feel it as Ragnar's words echoed. She was certain every goblin now knew the truce was off. When Hermione looked to Ragnar, the goblin nodded. Your own side knows too. I am a goblin of my word, and now I shall cut you down. The SWAT team of muggles immediately aimed their weapons as the goblin raised his blade. Ragnar looked to the muggles and laughed. Have you ever even seen a goblin before? I am no wizard, no mere goblin for that matter. I am the Goblin King. Hermione looked between the muggles and Ragnar. There was no bluff in Ragnar's eyes as he shouted. Fire at me, and you will miss, and bear the wrath of my sword upon every last one of you. You say the Queen summoned you. Well, I am your new king. For too long have you humans enslaved our people. For too long have we been banished for being too hideous and disgusting in the eye of the muggles. Too long has the sunlight been a luxury to my people, a luxury we are rarely able to afford. As Goblin King, I demand justice. The goblins demand justice. Then justice you shall have, Hermione cried out, her voice echoing throughout the auditorium. Hermione was about to continue when she saw Ron emerge from one of the corridors. He was followed by his siblings and a host of other people, but Hermione only had eyes for Ron as she spoke. You deserve justice, Ragnar. You deserve justice for what we have done to your race. If you truly believe that spilling blood will grant you justice, then you can start with mine. Hermione flicked her wand, and Ron felt his body freeze before he could comprehend Hermione's words. He could only watch in horror as she tossed her wand away and dropped to her knees, bowing her head before the Goblin King. Hermione kept her head down as she spoke. Give me a goblin death, friend. Ragnar looked upon Hermione with no small amount of shock and confusion. Is this a trick? This is an atonement for the crimes mankind has committed on your race. Hermione uttered, her voice stern, refusing to let her fear be shown. But you have committed no such crimes. Ragnar whispered almost to himself. Does that matter to you? Hermione answered coldly. Am I any less innocent than the people you wish to enslave? Ragnar looked around and saw that most of the goblins and human rebels had returned, their eyes fixed on what was taking place. Ragnar could feel anger of his people in their eyes and embraced it as he uttered darkly. If you wish for a goblin death, then look me in the eyes. Hermione looked up and Ragnar paused. She could hide her fear with her voice, but he could see it in her eyes. Yet there was more sadness and hope. Ragnar raised his sword and rested it on the top of her head. A goblin death for a goblin warrior. Hermione's eyes seemed bore into Ragnar's, who felt the sudden urge to look away. The muggles didn't seem to have any idea what was happening, and the LLR understood yet wouldn't act, as much as they clearly wanted to. Ginny was holding back George with a worried look on her face as she spoke to the other Weasley who had been hit with a spell and was lying prone on the floor. Ragnar's eyes widened. Hermione had hit him with that spell. This wasn't a trick. Ragnar looked back at Hermione, who nodded, then prayed to the very magics themselves that she was not wrong. She looked into Ragnar's dark eyes as he tilted the sword, so she could feel the edge of the blade on her head. Ragnar then raised the sword over his head. Hermione could feel tears flow from her eyes as she thought of Ron, she thought of Harry and Luna, she thought of Ginny, George, and her parents. She saw her life flash before her eyes as she thought of the future that would not be, for she was certain she had been wrong after all. Then she closed her eyes as Ragnar let out a horrific, blood-curdling cry. Hermione could not only hear but feel the sword slicing through air before cutting through the hard, bony surface of the ministry floor. Hermione opened her eyes as gasps filled the room, and she looked up to see Ragnar stare at the sword, embedded into the floor. The goblin seemed to tremble as he looked at his hands before turning his eyes to Hermione, who smiled and nodded, which only made Ragnar glare at her. The Goblin King looked at the goblins around him, their eyes looking upon him with shock, confusion, and anger. He understood how they felt. He failed them. Hermione rose to her feet and could not stop the relief from bringing her to tears, especially when she saw Ron charging over to her and crushing her in a hug. Hermione cried in his arms. Ron mumbled into her hair, "Don't you ever do anything like that again." The young couple jumped apart quickly as Ragnar drew a dagger from beneath his armor and examined it as he spoke with a tired voice. "I always wondered how the death of Pandora, a mere human, brought my brother so much pain. Now, I think I'm beginning to understand." Ragnar shrugged before bringing the blade to his throat to the sound of horrified cries, only to be tackled to the ground. Ragnar shook his head as he felt the dagger be pried from his fingers. He looked up to see the cursed eyes of Hermione on his. "Why are you damned goblins so obsessed with death?" Ragnar glared. "Why are you damned humans so obsessed with life? I have failed my people. I must do the honorable thing." "By killing yourself," Hermione exclaimed. "Dear Merlin, Ragnar, the Romans are gone, you know why. It's because they all killed themselves. Actually, we goblins wiped them out while riding dragons," Ragnar said with a gleam in his eyes. "Really? That doesn't seem right." "Never mind," Hermione muttered before rising to her feet and shouting to the goblins and soldiers around her. "What I'm trying to say is we all need to change, to become better than who we are. We need to learn to adapt with the changing world and not just kill those we don't like. When will we learn that to be different is not a sin? I understand how it is. Muggles are scared of wizards. Wizards are scared of muggles. Goblins are scared of enslavement, and everybody is terrified of goblins. Our fear should not drive us apart but bring us together. We are all scared of change, but if we stand united and face our fears together, there is nothing we can't accomplish. Who's with me?" Hermione raised her fist in the air to the cheers of the LLR. Some of the goblins cheered as well, while others started cursing in gobbledygook. The goblins started bickering among themselves before swords were drawn and started hacking at each other with malicious intent. A group of goblins attacked the SWAT team of muggles who opened fire on the goblins. The LLR drew their wands and tried to separate the feuding goblins. In a matter of seconds, the entire auditorium had once again descended into chaos. Hermione rolled her eyes as she muttered under breath, "Bloody hopeless." "Hopeless, I dare say not," Ragnar whispered as he rose to his feet. "You made goblins applaud for peace, and a human no less. No, not a human, a goblin friend." Hermione grinned as she said with pride, "A human and a goblin friend." "So be it," Ragnar said with a shrug. "I still demand justice for the destruction of Gringotts and the enslavement of our people. So let us hunt some totalitter." Harry and Luna remained silent as they followed Kingsley and Umbridge into a familiar circular room. With a tap of his scythe, the door behind them closed, and the room slowly began to rise. Luna remained silent, only looking to Harry and smiling faintly. Another voice broke the silence. "Boy, Harry, Kingsley, it's stalking," Umbridge complained, trying to sound dismissive but unable to keep the whine from her voice. "Yes, Minister," Kingsley drawled as he waved his hand, causing the two Dursleys to collapse on the ground unconscious. Harry reached for his wand, but Umbridge raised and shook her finger at him. "Not so fast. They are only stunned so the four of us can talk openly, though if you would prefer I can reunite them with your dear uncle." Harry glared at Umbridge before lowering his wand. Luna looked to Harry as she said, "I have nothing more to say to you, Dolores." "Understood," Umbridge said with a smug grin. Luna looked up at the ceiling as her curiosity got the best of her. "Why are you taking us to Pandora's box?" Luna whispered as dread filled her heart. Umbridge looked insulted. "What, is it so hard to believe I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart?" "Yes, Minister," Kingsley drawled, earning startled looks from the others. Umbridge started laughing as she wiped tears of mirth from her eyes. "You are terrible, Shacklebolt, just terrible." Umbridge laughed as she walked over to Harry and Luna. I'm finally going to put you to use, Squib. You see, I'm out of time waiting for you to cooperate. Above us, enemies of the wizarding world are fighting the cause. So I'm going to do what I should have done from the beginning and hand you right over to them. Umbridge smirked. It matters not, though. I'm afraid you won't be very receptive of your friends. Luna felt Harry grip her hand tighter, causing Luna to give a comforting smile that did little to ease his fears. Luna spoke up. My friends won't stop fighting, no matter what you do or don't do to me. They will remove you from power and... Umbridge smirked. If I'm captured, they will be forced to release me unless they wish all of London to burn. The magic in Pandora's box would be catastrophic if unleashed. All of magical Britain will feel the effects of such magic. And that doesn't include the inevitable destruction of the ministry, Harry scoffed. You destroy your own ministry. It benefits me that the entire ministry of magic be removed not only from existence, but from our history. Or don't you understand what I'm trying to achieve? Umbridge snapped before raising her hands maniacally. I'm talking about reshaping society and history. I'm talking about erasing the old and creating the new. I shall cleanse the earth of all that is inferior, and those that reign supreme shall be well ordered and controlled as I rebuild the perfect world. A world of magic, law, and above all order. Kingsley looked to her and uttered, You must be joking. Minister, Dolores snapped to Kingsley. I assure you, Shacklebolt, this is no joke. The Muggles must be controlled and subdued. You wish to subdue wizards while wiping out goblins and Muggles completely. Kingsley groaned with a shake of his head. It is what must be done. Much of my totalitter are busy keeping the Muggle government under my secret control, and believe me when I tell you, they have a lot of bombs. Aim them at the right targets, and I can start a nice nuclear war. Dolores declared. I shall destroy thy enemy with the power of every Muggle bomb until wizards and witches are all that remain. Every Muggle bomb, Luna squeaked in horror, that would destroy the earth. It would damage the earth and much that inhabits it. The world will be a far more quiet and ugly place, but that is the price to pay for a perfect society, Umbridge said with a hint of sadness before shrugging it off. Not that you need to worry about that, Squib. You are about to learn your place. Maybe it is you who shall learn your place, Luna uttered calmly as she looked over Umbridge's shoulder. Umbridge frowned before she heard the sound of snickering behind her back. Luna smiled as Umbridge turned around and saw the Nargles floating before her. Luna's smile turned into a frown as Umbridge looked straight past the Nargles and uttered, What are you looking at, Squib? Am I supposed to be seeing something? Oh, brother, the woman's gone blind. We must have really did a number on her. You mean you did a number on her? You're going to get so sued. What, you arse? Luna tilted her head. The Nargles. Can't you see them? Can't you hear them? They are right in front of you. Umbridge turned back to Luna and lectured. Well, that comes down to a matter of perception. Oh dear, Umbridge continued. You see, on one hand you could say that the Nargles are behind me. On the other hand, you could say that you are speaking of your imaginary friends. Anarchy, do something. You do something, you bloody fairy. Of course they aren't even your imaginary friends, are they? They are Pandora's, the woman you call mother. Umbridge chuckled as she approached Luna, ignoring Harry's wand aimed upon her and the Nargles trying to pull her backwards by the hair. You want to know how I got rid of these freaks when you set them upon me, the same way you defeated the Bogart you ran into. You simply embrace the fact that it isn't real and it could not touch you. Shit. Why do I have to go fur? Anarchium shrieked as the Nargle started to flicker, then vanished with a pop. Anarchium, Anarchium, Luna cried out in terror as the remaining two Nargles exchanged worried looks. The Nargles aren't real, and they never were real, not really. Umbridge continued with a grin. They are a combination of magic and madness, and Pandora went mad all right. She was always eccentric, but she never recovered from the head injury. The resulting combination of her advanced magic and damaged brain gave her what Muggles call a split personality. Pandora was no Muggle, though, and through her magic, three of her four split personalities appeared to become real sentient beings, affecting events around them even if only Pandora could see them. Umbridge leaned down and grinned a twisted grin at Luna's pale eyes. Then something funny happened. Pandora died and you lived. The Nargles had also become more powerful and closer to reality than ever before. However, they no longer had a host, so they possessed you and guided you. You believed that they were your friends, but in the end it only showed that you are just as mad as everyone said you were. Any last words? Just one. Fuckers. And you Alpharochi, Ota Alpha shrieked before he too vanished with a pop. Avapxia, Luna cried out as she ran towards Umbridge only to be blasted back into Harry by Kingsley's magic. So, these Nargles, living proof that madness can be contagious, patiently waited until they could convince you to bring them back into the realm of reality. They became as close to real as a Nargle could get. But in the end, all it takes to get rid of them is to realize that despite how real they appear, it's all in your head, Luna. Luna looked desperately to Anarchy to convince her it wasn't true. Instead, the Nargle resignedly nodded its head as it flickered and disappeared. Anarchy, come back, Luna cried out as Harry held her back. Umbridge smiled. They can't come back. You can't simply unlearn what you know to be fact. The Nargles, as real as they were, had one secret, and that secret has been revealed. They simply don't exist. Sort of like that Muggle myth about fairies. If enough people stop believing in fairies, the fairies die. Harry stepped in front of Luna and quickly raised his wand, only for Kingsley to quickly draw his scythe and hold it over the unconscious Dursleys. Umbridge cackled. Don't put up a fuss now, Harry. We're almost there. Hermione blasted more Totalitter out of her way as the Muggle SWAT teams took control of another level of the before Umbridge Ministry. Hermione was more interested in the bottom level, where the Department of Mysteries resided. She caught Ron's eye from across the corridor, and he nodded back. Hermione nearly ran into Ragnar and quickly started speaking. I think we should get to the Department of Mysteries and make sure Umbridge doesn't try to escape. Ragnar nodded. You're talking my kind of language, though your concern for your friends is the true reason it is not. Hermione didn't reply quick enough, and the goblin laughed. You humans and your sentimentality. You say that as if you didn't just spare my life. Hermione countered with a roll of her eyes. You're never going to let me forget about that, are you? Ragnar muttered under his breath. Hermione was about to reply when three ugly fairies popped into existence before her, causing her to let out a startled scream. Hermione ignored the chuckling Ragnar, who bolted towards another Totalitter. Hermione focused on the creatures before her. You are Nargles, aren't you? No shit, now listen. We need to your help. The Moonchild and Scarface can't see us because the Umbridge told them that we aren't technically real. Pardon, Hermione interrupted, looking confused. What do you mean? Technically not real. And you Alpharochi, Oda Alpha Nuo. Yeah, as in imaginary, but. You maggot-headed, pop, pop, pop. Hermione stared at where the three Nargles had once been before suddenly popping out of existence. Hermione shrugged and charged forward, fighting alongside Ron as the Totalitter were forced back. For some reason, she had a feeling they needed to reach the Department of Mysteries, now more than ever. Monkey-loving waste of dragon dung, Anarchium shrieked. And you Alpharochi, Ode, or Alpha, what part of they cannot learn we aren't technically real, do you not understand, you pink pixie? I'll get it right this time. Anarchy, I promise. You said that the last 3 times. What does it matters? No one truly believed in our existence but Luna. Everyone else has too much doubt in their heart, even those who have seen us. Even the wisest doubt their own knowledge when faced with the inexplicable. Yeah, the only person who would believe we exist is some nutter ha. Ha, aha, that's it. And you Alpharochi, Ota Alpha, you're a genius. I am. He is. Yes, I know exactly who can help us. Anarchy shouted before snapping his fingers, and the 3 Nargles popped into existence. When the other 2 Nargles realized who they were floating in front of, they exchanged a wary glance. The Moonchild is screwed. Harry nearly lost his footing as the room came to a jerking stop. Luna gripped his hand tighter, holding him up. She whispered into his ear, "I missed you." Harry shook his head with a hint of mirth. "Is now really the time?" Luna shrugged as she glanced towards Umbridge, who was frowning at a weak patroness that appeared before her. "Now might be the only time. I doubt Umbridge brought us up here to have butter scones and tea." Harry gripped her hand tighter. "Nothing is going to happen to you, Luna. We'll make it out of this, I promise." Luna smiled as she shook her head. "I don't want to make it out of this. I want to finish this once and for all. Then I want to grow old with you and never miss you again." Harry closed his eyes as he seemed turned to away from Luna and the others in the room. Yet Luna could feel the grip on her hand tighten as Harry whispered hoarsely, "I missed you too." "What do you mean we are losing?" Umbridge shrieked, startling everyone in the room. Harry and Luna turned to see a single totalitter had appeared in the room and looked like he'd rather be anywhere other than here. W. Well, we are vastly outnumbered, Minister. Highly trained Muggle auras showed up and shot down many of the magic his might's subjects. Those things turned on us, Minister. In fact, they seemed to attack us more than the enemy. Then the Muggles showed up and they all fled back down here. Umbridge hissed with clenched teeth. "Why didn't you call for reinforcements?" "It's too late for that, Minister. They have seized control of the majority of the ministry. Any reinforcements who tried to get in would be slaughtered. Their only hope is to begin a siege on our very own ministry, and even that would likely end with more Muggle auras shooting us down. In fact, I think it would be wise, if we were, to evacuate Avada Kedavra." Umbridge whispered as she raised her wand, killing the totalitter on the spot. Umbridge then started shouting, "I don't have enough time. I'm not ready yet." Umbridge then directed her attention at Harry and Luna. "You too. Do you recognize this place?" Harry and Luna took in their surroundings as Umbridge awkwardly kicked the totalitter's body into the hallway and shut the door he had come in from. Luna gasped as she saw the small details Harry missed. She realized they were at the very top level of the Department of Mysteries, so close to escaping that she could almost taste the sunlight that shined 10 stories above them. Umbridge pointed to the 12 handleless doors that now surrounded them in the pale blue light. "Normally they spin around, but since I'm head unspeakable, it seems pointless. You see, that room holds all the prophecies. That room is where we study occlumency and legilimency, and behind this door, Potter, is where your godfather died." Harry eyed the door Umbridge pointed to with great trepidation. Luna, however, walked towards a different door. Luna could feel the eyes of Harry, Umbridge, and Kingsley upon her as she walked transfixed to the door that seemed to call out to her. Luna raised her hand to the door and could feel power emanating from within. She had felt it vaguely when she had first journeyed down here with Harry, but now it felt like home. Luna felt as if the power of the universe was behind that door. It's funny, really, that Phileas and Pandora's greatest creation is actually near the top of the Department of Mysteries. "But I'm sure you figured that out, Squib," said Dolores. Luna felt Harry's presence behind her as she uttered, "All this time, we have been looking for the secret of magic. We have been looking for Pandora's box, and we already knew where it was. We just didn't know it was here." Harry spoke softly. "Dumbledore said behind this door was the greatest power in the world. Love." Umbridge chuckled from the other side of the room. "Dumbledore was a great wizard, but I believe his age took a toll on his brain near the end." Luna shook her head, oblivious to Umbridge. "Mom sacrificed herself for me. One of her final acts was powering the room. Maybe the secret of magic is love." Ahem. "But Pandora said it wasn't love. Maybe it's a part of it. Maybe Dumbledore lied. Maybe he was misinformed," Harry countered. Ahem. Luna thought for a moment. "I wonder if we can get a sample of magic." "I said ahem," Umbridge shrieked before calmly saying, "I didn't bring you here to analyze Pandora's box. I brought you here to experience the might of magic." Kingsley lunged forward, and then with a blast of magic sent Harry flying into his grasp. Before Harry could react, he felt the Elder Wand be plucked from his clutches and tossed across the room. Kingsley, holding Harry up, brought his scythe to Harry's throat. Luna cried out, "No, don't hurt him." "I won't hurt him as long as you cooperate." He is far more useful to me alive. Well, somewhat alive. I must admit Harry Potter would make a fine puppet. Umbridge whispered as she grabbed Harry's cheeks with her hand. Harry's head tried to break free of Umbridge and Kingsley's grasp, only to feel a stinging slap across his face and the sound of Dolores's giggling. Luna lunged forward and grabbed the elder wand lying on the floor. She aimed it at Umbridge as Kingsley pressed the blade deep against Harry's throat, drawing a sliver of blood. Luna shrieked. "You hurt him, I swear." I'll kill your mother," Umbridge laughed. "Dear Merlin, you couldn't harm a fly." "I was able to harm your spiders," Luna countered, but hesitation was clear in her eyes. "Do you even have enough magic left to use a wand?" Umbridge taunted as she reached for the wand. "I think not." Luna's hands shook as Umbridge drew closer to the wand. Then a burst green light shot from the wand, missing Umbridge by a hair. Luna looked at the wand in shock as Umbridge slapped the wand from Luna's hand and then slapped Luna to the floor. Umbridge looked at the wand, then to Harry. "The Elder Wand serves its master well." "Luna is not the master, is she, Harry?" Harry did not nod. He only remained silent and still, while his mind took in this recent development. Umbridge handed over the Elder Wand to Kingsley, who pocketed it. Luna tried to rise to her feet, but Dolores spoke harshly. "Move again, and this time I promise you, I will not only kill Potter, you will be sure he is dead. I swear to Merlin I will have his body burned before your eyes." "Don't listen to her." Harry tried to speak, but felt Kingsley's power cut off his voice as his throat constricted painfully. Umbridge smiled as she aimed her wand at Luna, who glared back at her. "Kingsley, if you are certain Harry is under control, you may initiate magic as my protocol are." Kingsley waved his scythe, and a rumbling filled the room. Luna rose to her feet defiantly. "I don't know what you are trying to do, but killing me will only make yourself more enemies. I no longer fear death. I know if anything happens to me, I will be with my mother and father again, and I know I will be reunited with Harry when the time comes." Umbridge laughed a cold, heartless laugh that filled Luna's thoughts with dread. "I'm not going to kill you, you are my daughter. What kind of mother kills her child? No, I'm just going to crush your spirit and destroy your dreams. I'm going to put you in your place, Luna, and it will be painful. I'm going to give you all the magic you could ever ask for, and you will see what a squib with magic is. In the end, you will realize with your last civilized thought what savage animals squibs and muggles really are." "No, no," Harry cried out as he struggled against Kingsley. He slammed his head back into Kingsley's face and felt the wizard's nose break, but Kingsley refused to budge. "Forget about me, Luna. Don't let them turn you into a moan." Umbridge waved her wand and silenced Harry before looking at the white energy flow from the closed door and forming a sphere in Kingsley's brittle hands. Umbridge smiled at Luna. "Well, what are you waiting for, Luna? Your new life awaits you." Luna looked from Kingsley to Harry, who was shaking his head pleadingly. Luna felt a tear run down her cheek as she whispered, "I'm sorry, Harry." Harry struggled and lashed out with his magic, but Kingsley seemed to overpower him and toss Harry to the floor. Umbridge aimed her wand at Harry as Kingsley raised the white ball of magic over Luna's head. Harry's magic lashed out again. "Please, Luna, don't leave me." Luna stiffened as she heard Harry's voice filled with so much pain. Luna hardened as she stepped back from Kingsley. Luna walked towards Harry, ignoring the wand pointed at him or the deathly figure Kingsley preparing to strike her down. Umbridge shouted, "Stand back! I swear to Merlin I'll kill you both." Luna ignored Umbridge and simply recited, "The individual stands alone, but the individuals stand one. For individuals are never truly alone. Never." Luna knelt down and offered a hand to Harry, who met her eyes which never seemed more serious. Luna whispered, "Whatever happens, I'm not leaving you, not again." Harry looked like he wanted to protest, but seeing the look in her eyes, he realized what she meant. Harry reached forward, and with hands clasped together, they rose to their feet. Luna spoke aloud, her eyes locked on Harry's. "Together," Harry gave Luna a brief but passionate kiss before uttering huskily, "Together. Kill them, Umbridge commanded. Harry and Luna faced Kingsley, grasping each other's hands as they charged, armed with only their bare hands and beating hearts. Kingsley raised his scythe, preparing to strike them both down. Knock, knock, knock. Everyone in the room froze in a stunned portrait of chaos, their eyes fixed on the door, admitting a most curious sound. Knock, knock, knock. There it was again. Luna and Harry glanced at each other before looking at Umbridge and Kingsley. Luna hummed, "Well, aren't you going to ask to open it?" Umbridge and Kingsley shared a look, neither doing anything. Luna shrugged as she walked towards the door. "Okay, I guess I will. Like hell you will." Umbridge hissed as she shoved Luna out of the way, waddling up to the door. Knock, knock, knock. Umbridge took a nervous breath before asking, "Who's there?" There was a long, silent pause before an unusual, bland voice uttered, "Al." Umbridge shot Kingsley a confused look, only to receive an equally confused shrug. Umbridge turned back to the door and asked, "Al, who?" There was another 10 seconds of silence before the bland voice responded, "I'll make you a pig if you don't open the door." Ha, ha, ha. Even the laughter was bland as the voice uttered, "Bye, bye." Umbridge motioned to Kingsley. "Barricade the bloody door. Hell, lo, is anything out there?" "No, in there." A different voice stuttered, causing Luna and Harry to blanch. Luna recognized that voice, though this was the last person she would ever have expected to hear from the other side of that door. "Evander." "Luna, Luna Goodlove, is that I? I mean you," the elf-like voice stuttered out. Umbridge rolled her eyes and opened the door, revealing the strangest creature Umbridge had even seen. From his odd way of speaking to his green skin, his small, misshapen and oversized ear and nose, Umbridge was shocked as the timid man walked past her and gave Luna an awkward hug. "Son adult." "I me, and Moonchild, it has been to Sue." And Luna couldn't help but giggle as Harry shook his head in disbelief. "Evander. What in Merlin's name are you doing here? On that matter, how exactly did you get here?" Evander raised his finger enthusiastically to respond, but slowly lowered his arm as confusion graced his features. I don't. Now, no." Evander looked around the room as he squealed. "Where am you? I. Evander suddenly paused as his odd yellow eyes met Umbridge's eye. "Do I know you?" Umbridge moved back like she had been slapped in the face, her eyes as wide as saucers. "You. I am you." "I mean I," Evander stuttered before gasping to Luna. "We remember now, I not awake. What's the word? I sleep, yes, sleep. And saw four, no, three things. Three things spoke to me that you needed help. I woke up here. Now I help." Evander scrunched up his face as he tried to focus before uttering with exhaustion, "Don't know how." "Evan," Umbridge uttered softly, as Luna saw a hint of light in her eyes for the very first time. Evander nearly fell over as he spun around violently. Luna had to catch the elf like squib as his legs buckled underneath him. Evander stared at Umbridge as he muttered softly, "Evan, sounds familiar. I am called Evander, but that never my name. Evan's looks, no, sounds right." "How do she know this?" Evander looked up, and his large eyes widened as he had a clear but rare moment of recognition. "Dolores," Umbridge nodded slowly. "It has been a long time," Harry spoke up. "You two know each other." Evander nodded, but did not answer. Instead, he slowly walked up to Umbridge and uttered, "The years have not been good to you. The pot doth dub the kettle black." Umbridge laughed with mirth. Evan laughed as well, though his was wheezy and odd. Umbridge calmed herself and replied wistfully, "Last time I saw you was when Father sent you and Mother away." "He did, didn't she? I mean he," Evan uttered with a glimmer of memory. Yes, yes, but he couldn't leave us well enough alone. He killed her, you know, Mother." Umbridge remained silent at this as Evan continued. "Yes, I was studying to be a scientist. Science is after all the magic of the, what is word, muggles, but bad man. Father wanted to give me real magic. As you see it went. Well," Evan gestured to himself with his bony, skinny green arms. "Of course having magic and controlling it are two very different things. I hope you weren't not too fond of Father, or you might not like me." Dolores gave a small smile. "You killed him." Evans rubbed his head. "It was Accident. Couldn't control magic. Father wanted me to. Magic, but I couldn't. He whacked me and I go. Boom. I sorry. Dolores shook her head. Sorry. No, I owe you a debt of gratitude, dear brother. I've lost many things in my life, but his death was greeted with biscuits and tea. Evan let out a strained attempt at a giggle that scratched his throat before croaking. I miss you. Umbridge's smile was strained as she uttered. Why are you here? Evan attempted to shrug. I only want help, sister, and friends. Umbridge stopped short as she was about to answer and instead questioned. Friends? Evan gestured to Luna and Harry, who were watching the exchange with matching looks of disbelief. Evan seemed to struggle as he grunted. These are my friends, like, girl, better, don't tell, boy, shhh. I'm wounded. Harry uttered dryly as Luna giggled at Evan's playful smile. Umbridge's gave a strained smile as she forced out. Well, that's sweet. Dolores smiled, remained plastered on her face as she gestured to Harry and Luna, the latter noticing the glimmer of light in her eyes had vanished. So, who would you choose? If you had to choose, would you be my brother, or would you be their friends? Evan's grin faltered. Evans don't like choice. Well, it's a choice you have to make. Don't you want to be a wizard, or does family mean so little to you that you would forsake your sister for the friendship of a squib and a half-blood? Umbridge hissed as her smile remained on her face, even as all warmth left her eyes. We, Muggle, Mother, Evan squeaked in confusion. We are half-blood. Only a witch or wizard can be a half-blood, Umbridge declared. You are a squib with brain damage. I am brother, Evan squealed with determination and effort. I am smart, I am human, I just sick. I bleed blood, it's yellow, but is still blood. You are a freak, Umbridge shouted. I mean, look at you. This is what happens when you befriend freaks, you become a freak. You lived with the Muggles and now you are lower than a Muggle. I am freak, but in good company, Evans replied with pride. I am freak and proud, like boy who lived, like Moonchild. Evan felt a soft hand wrap around his own and looked up to see a smiling Luna tearfully nod to him. Evan smiled warmly as he uttered, I have good friends. They care for me. They are my family now. Luna let out a scream as a hex slammed into Evan's weak frame and sent him tumbling to the ground. Dolores towered over the squib as she shrieked, Don't you dare touch her. That hurt. Evan whimpered pitifully. I see how it is, you. You choose her over me, just like that Muggle you call mother. Umbridge sent another hex, this time at Luna, who was pulled out of the way by Harry. Kingsley pulled Harry and Luna backwards as Umbridge yelled at them all. I should have known you would betray me. You squibs are all the same. You betray your own family in favor of your own kind. Well, I'll show you all. You aren't my brother. You're a bloody elf. Evan's eyes leaked blue tears as he glared at Umbridge and growled. Rather be elf than be your brother. Umbridge turned red as she cursed Evan again. This time her curse smashed into the squib's face and broke his nose. Evans grabbed his nose as he crawled away from Umbridge and stumbled to his feet, eating a stinging hex to the back of his head. Umbridge cackled with a smile, sending another. Leave him alone, Luna cried out tearfully as Kingsley held her back. Stop it, please, Kingsley spoke up. Minister, shut up, Umbridge shouted at Kingsley. You'd betray me too if you had any free will left, you freak. You're all freaks but me. I will purge it all and have true, absolute order. Another sting hex hit Evan, who started hitting himself while crying out in a high, whiny voice. Stop! 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 Umbridge laughed an ugly laugh. Look at you, your mind is as warped as your body. Maybe I should make you my personal house elf. Evan's eyes suddenly seemed clear as he pointed at Umbridge. Father warped my body and he warped my brain, but he warped your soul, Dolores Umbridge. Umbridge's eyes burned as she shrieked. Crucio! Evan screamed a short, high-pitched shriek of his own before. He froze and went silent, as if someone had put him on pause, not unlike a Muggle TV. Then he started to glow white, and was glowing whiter and whiter. Umbridge tilted her head before muttering. Oh dear, Harry called out. Evan, did you drink your ugly drink? Luna was suddenly tossed across the room by Kingsley, landing at Umbridge's feet. Kingsley was in the process of doing the same to Harry when Evan shouted, "Boom!"